blood red carpet. What a great visual image to start with.
I love that carpet.
Hi, this is Tom Savini. I did the special makeup effects in this movie. I also did most of the stunts with my friend Tom Stavrakis. And I played a character named Blade. That is Galen Ross. This is Dawn of the Dead. And Chris Stavrakis is sitting here with me.
Hello, good evening.
That's Cliff Forrest, Chris Romero's brother, George Romero's brother-in-law.
That's right.
And I have no idea who she is.
Somebody mentioned once who she was. I don't remember. There's so many people in this movie that are known from other places like that.
Oh, that's Molly. She does a kiddie show.
She used to be on Romper Room.
That's right.
Molly McCluskey is her name, I believe.
Molly McCluskey. We went to school together at Carnegie Mellon University.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. But what was I going to tell you? What did you just say? Something about... so many people, yes. I mean, so many times somebody will come up to me in the street. There's George Romero. And some people will come up to me in the street and say, "Hey, Tom, do you remember me?" And I won't. And they say, "Well, I was a zombie in Dawn of the Dead." Well, we had thousands of zombies in Dawn of the Dead. And speaking of zombies, Chris and I are sitting here in complete zombie makeup. My skull is protruding from my head, and I have horrible teeth on, and Chris's left eyeball is hanging out. And you can try to visualize that.
I've shaved my head, too, to match the guy at the airport.
That's right. So. And he's wearing that particular makeup. Yes. On the right is David Early, a local Pittsburgh actor.
David's in a lot of stuff. He's in Silence of the Lambs.
Mm-hmm. Plays one of the guards in the museum toward the end.
SWAT guy, right.
Yeah.
And this was shot at Channel 53. Was that what it was?
53,
local independent UHF station at the time. Now it's a big Fox TV station.
I really don't remember.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
This was a long time ago.
Yes.
Now, who are these guys? That's Lenny Lees over there.
Is it Lenny?
Lenny Lees. He's the brother of the guy whose head I...
No, Lenny is the guy.
But no, that's Mike Lees, yeah.
Oh, okay, Mike Lees.
Lenny Lees is his brother, and he's the guy that I plant the machete blade into when I bring the bikers into the mall at the end.
Did you ever find that machete?
No, I do have the machetes from Day of the Dead, but I don't. Now, this guy, that guy's a local actor, too.
That's, what the heck is his name? Crawford something?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Oh, no, Dan...
I did a show with him at the Pittsburgh Playhouse. I think I did Servant of Two Masters with that guy, but he didn't have a beard.
Really?
I think that's how I know him. But I wasn't here. That's Chris Romero on the right, George's wife, who played opposite me in Night Riders, and Martin. George always cast me as her husband or boyfriend or something. I guess he figures that's safe.
He knows where you... Well, no,
yeah.
It's not.
Nick Mastandria. Now, I wasn't here for any of this, obviously, because there are no special makeup effects or stunts or crazy bikers riding motorcycles around.
Yeah, you popped up a lot later on.
That guy back there was Ed, well, you can't see him. Ed Terry, he's the lighting director.
Teddy Jack, they call him.
Yeah. Everybody has a nickname. My name was Sleaze, and Nick's was... Marty Schiff was Moon Baby.
What was Nick's nickname?
Nick
gave out the nickname.
That's right. He was the proclaimer of... In fact, during Night Riders, I asked for a proclamation to change my nickname. I didn't want to be Sleaze anymore, you know. So he actually did make a proclamation. I have it somewhere, but now I don't remember what we changed my name to.
You're no longer Sleaze.
No longer Sleaze. The unsleaze. Sleaze 2.
That's bugging me. I can't remember that guy's name.
There's Eileen. She's the art director. That's Liz Augenstein. Eileen was the art director.
Eileen Sif?
Eileen, some Jewish name. Eileen, she was married to the guy who did the lighting on this.
Augenstein?
Augenstein, yeah. Augie Augenstein.
Okay.
Things have gone... What's going on?
I guess things have gone downhill. The zombie phenomenon has been going on for a while. The civilians have been slow to understand what the scientific community wants them to do, which is to drag them outside and burn their relatives if they drop dead. And, of course, everyone's understandably upset having to burn their deceased loved ones.
Bring out your dead.
Right.
That would have been a great scene.
They would have been nice to have something like that.
If Monty Python had it. David M.G.
There's Teddy Jack right there.
That's Edward Terry on his way out with the glasses. There's what's-her-face?
Catherine Colbert, was it?
Yeah, that was Richard Rubenstein's wife, the producer. But between them was Donna Siegel, who's worked on every George Romero movie. It's we have like one crew, the Romero crew, and we do all of George's films. We shot 8 movies here in Pittsburgh with George. 9 if you include Dark Half.
I asked George one time, I said WGON. I asked him if that was an intentional joke, W gone, you know? And he said no, he wasn't, that he remembered anyway. I think it might have been just WGN is a popular Chicago station, and he might have thought of it from that ground. But in the script, it's something different. It's like WC something.
Well, here's Flyboy. This is David Emge. Now, I still see David Emge at conventions here in, actually, he told me he was in England, I think. But I do lots of conventions in the States.
He's a hell of a nice guy, too.
Has he done anything since Dawn of the Dead?
Absolutely. He was in Basket Case 3. He was in...
Well, I might be in Toxic Avenger 4.
That's true. That's true.
So by the time you hear this, maybe the movie will have already been produced, and I will be in it. Oh, here we go. I was certainly definitely here for this.
Absolutely. That's Jack Russo back there.
That was Jack Russo?
Watch behind this guy, little cameo. There he is. See him?
Jack? No, that's not Jack Russo.
That's gotta be.
That's not Jack
Listen
Russo.
to his voice. That is Jack Russo.
No, he'd have to have old age makeup on and jowls and foam latex appliances. No. That's not Jack. It looks like Jack.
You sure that's not him?
Well, you know what? It could be Jack if he was a lot heavier.
Well,
Jack Russo was the writer of Night of the Living Dead, co-writer of Night of the Living Dead, right. And played the zombie with the tire iron in his head, and you know.
That scene was cut in the theatrical version, so I always assumed that was a little cameo that he just had.
What scene? That scene between the two?
That little shot there was cut. He says it looks like they're going to really try and fight us.
Well, okay, listen. When people get shot here, and there's going to be a lot of people getting shot, I was forced to use, out of ignorance, a very primitive method of doing bullet hits in the head. This guy right here on my right, he'll get a bullet hit right in his forehead. What I did was I just thought of how to make a hole appear in his head. So I put a sewing button on his head with a fish line attached to it, pulled it away from his head, covered the button with wax. And I think I painted the hole black first. Covered the button with wax. So actually pull a button off his head. Watch, here it comes. Boom, right there, see? A hole appears in his head.
His little hole.
And there's probably also a blood pack up there to make the hole bleed afterwards. There'll be shotgun blast coming up here. A guy gets it in the back.
Jim Baffico. There's
John Amplis, Martin, the guy who played Martin. John plays a few parts in this film.
He's got a couple. Yeah, there's a lot of people who have 2 or 3 recurring zombies or victims.
Here he's supposed to be the Puerto Rican gang member or something. This guy gets it, chest.
Right there.
Gary Zeller did that head hit. And this guy gets it in the back. Watch, boom. That was about 4 or 5 squibs in his back full of with blood packs. Yeah, Joe Shelby, yeah. We just had dinner with him at an amusement park at Kennywood, a local amusement park, about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, here's John.
It's all glued on hair, a wig we threw on. This is the stuff right out of the kit.
Looks like Che Guevara there.
Yeah, now this roof is actually the roof of Latent Image George Romero's office building.
This building here, if I'm not mistaken, actually John Amplis told me, and he didn't remember exactly himself, but he said it was somewhere in the Hill District, he thinks, this abandoned tenement building. And it was cold. I guess it was very cold at the time, right?
Oh, yeah, there's snow on the ground outside.
And it smelled awful because the gas heaters were, like, these guys had intestines and stuff in the basement later on. And I guess the heaters were making the place.
Oh, yeah, and raw meat, and all kinds of stuff. There's a guy here, a big, husky guy, the guy who, that's him right there. That's Jim Baffico. He's a director. He directs soap operas, television, and he teaches drama at I forget.
See, that's the first.
You didn't see it.
That's the first instance. Remember,
They cut the effect. What you missed here, and what's in the film is that he just blows that guy's head to smithereens. We did tests of trying to blow the head up from within, and the head would just expand and contract quickly. Then we just decided to take a shotgun and blow it off, and we actually blew that head off. And that head is a cast of Galen Ross.
From his friend, right?
Who plays Fran, our blonde heroine in this film.
The reason there was a head cast of her was because of the mysterious alternate ending.
That's
which
right.
Was partially shot. We'll talk about that more later.
Yeah, which we did shoot, and we will talk about that. But that's the reason we cast Galen Ross's head, because the original script had her at the end killing herself by, she's looking out of the helicopter waiting for Peter to show up. she decides to thrust herself and head upward into the helicopter blades. We shot the scene of her body falling away. We shot the scene of her head exploding. Well, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. But that's the first instance. I remember I said to a guy emailed me, a fellow named Simon, and he tried to import, or he ordered from a company here.
This is a real amputee. I don't know if you saw that with his right foot is really not there, and we simply made it look like a stump. See it?
There's a couple of them. I picked out another amputee.
Oh, yeah, there's guys with no arms, no legs. John Rice, he's a local director of photography.
He's still around. But, yeah, this guy Simon tried to order a copy of Dawn on Laserdisc from the States, and because the British, the BBFC it's called, it's like their version of the MPAA, right? They cut 6 seconds. The head explosion was the first thing they cut.
The first 6 seconds.
Right.
Well, this guy, I want to make sure we don't miss it, but I understand that this was also cut. He bites his girlfriend, and I think what I heard today was, they do show that, but they don't show...
They don't show the flesh coming out.
They don't show the spurting of the blood, I thought. But we'll see, because he takes a nice chunk. This is the first effect that gets applause in this movie when it's showed in the theater.
Now, that's the second cut. 6 seconds total were taken out of the movie. The first one is the exploding head. The second one is the bite.
Here it comes.
And the third one is the kids, your nephew and niece.
That's right. They took the kids out.
Right.
And I'll tell you, you know why? Okay, well, let's see if the bite happens. This even freaked the crew out. Oh, good. Okay, the bite is in.
Maybe it's the second one.
It's the second one, because that's where the spurting of the blood is out of the arm. Now, he really...
Oh, yes.
Okay, they cut the blood spurt. And the scream that you heard was the actress's real scream, because when he bit her arm, he really bit her arm into that very tender area back there, and she let out a scream, and that's what was on the soundtrack, and that's what they used.
We just did the exact same effect on a zombie thing we shot in town here. I did it with gelatin, and the same thing happened. A guy bit the guy right on the arm.
Well, okay, what were we talking about? The reason that the children aren't in it.
Oh, right, yeah.
There was, I understand, I heard this on the telephone today, was that at the time, a madman...
oh, that's right, in Scotland.
Shot some children. So they didn't think that would be great in taste to leave that in. It would be a reminder, I guess.
I forgot about that. In Scotland, a guy shot up a school full of kids.
There's Ken Foray. Peter. No, he's Peter.
Yeah, he's Peter. Ken is now on a Nickelodeon TV show called Keenan and Kyle, Keenan and Kim, something like that.
I don't know. I didn't hear that. I did see he was in Texas Chainsaw 3 too, and another guy that shows up at conventions, Scotty Reiniger, was also in Knight Riders, as was Ken, and he's only done one convention that I know of, the one in Virginia, the Crystal City thing.
He's been to a couple since that one. Okay. But that was the first.
So if you're in the States, I mean, you can run into these guys, and I understand David was in England at these conventions. I did a convention in Hampstead, I think it was called Hampstead, for Paul Brown, local writer.
Makes me want to have a cigarette.
Yeah, let's have a cigarette with Scotty. But we have to use a Zippo.
Oh,
watch your eyeballs dripping on the carpet.
Sorry. I'll get the gauze over here.
What's this yellow stuff on the floor over here?
Looks like egg yolks.
Well, who was eating egg yolks? Oh, no, that was dripping out of my hair.
Oh.
Yeah. I wish you could see us. We are certainly... no, we're not really made up as zombies. But people did come or go to the theater in zombie makeup when they went to see this. It was a happening. It was an event.
Oh, that reminds me. I just found tonight the identity of the zombie. Remember there's always a story about the zombie who would steal the golf cart.
Oh, yes.
Crashed into the post or something.
Yeah.
That was Kyra. My girlfriend Kyra Schoen was in the original Night of the Living Dead.
Kyra played the little girl in the original 1969 Night of the Living Dead.
Right, and her friend Barbara's cousin, John Cox, was the guy who was a zombie, got ripped at the Brown Derby and stole the golf cart and crashed into the...
You see, when we shot
at the mall.
When we shot at the Monroeville Mall, the mall closed around 9 o'clock. But there was a bar called the Brown Derby, a restaurant bar, and it stayed open until 2 in the morning. So we would make up these zombies, and some of them would go to the bar and get loaded and come back as these drunken zombies. A couple of them stole a golf cart and drove around the mall and crashed into a marble pillar and caused about $7,000 worth of damage.
And now we know who it was.
Meanwhile, we're driving big Harley motorcycles with sidecars through the mall. Of course, we were sober.
We should certainly mention Jesse.
Jesse. An amputee,
right.
that certainly is not an effect.
And
This was really creepy at the beginning of the film.
Yeah, just a surreal moment there. And he, I guess,
Was that surreal? I could see him.
Now here's where...
Oh, the first glimpse of our zombies, right. Now, the intention was to make all these zombies gray. But throughout the course of the film, they're going to turn green, they're going to be blue. It's just always, however, gray makeup.
It was gray.
Gray makeup.
You know what I noticed? A lot of times, I think just the way that the film was timed, the color timing.
That's the whole problem, yeah.
Is they look gray there, but when somebody's wearing a red shirt, like the bald guy, or if there's a lot of blood, like on Steven at the end, then it reads as green. I don't know why the red.
Well, I get them both because they timed it for the blood.
Yeah, I guess so.
They timed it for the blood, and then the other stuff was sacrificed. What's going on in here? Okay, at this point, now, see, there's a lot of stuff going on in here. There's a cadaver in the back corner of the room that you don't get to see. Right there, see with the hood on it?
Yeah.
There's a story. We got to tell the story behind that cadaver.
Well, it shows up later on, too, in the parking lot.
Okay, great. Story, yeah. Well, remind me to tell the story of this cadaver. You can read about it in my book, Grand Illusions, but if you haven't got that, I should tell you.
And just Pizza Head?
And these are all just plaster legs made up to look like flesh. That was Pizza Head, we called it. I mean, it looked like he had melted mozzarella cheese on him. But these are all plaster. This is, of course, a rubber one.
And what the wiggling fingers were good there.
Yeah. And what they're just biting off as chunks of rubber, I hadn't discovered a thing called chunks of flesh just yet. Chunks of flesh is this latex goo that stretches and tears like skin would. Now, there's an amputee. See, he pointed his leg up there. But these are the days before chunks of flesh.
Right. Now, this is the longer edit of the film, so there's going to be a couple more.
Oh, see that squirt of blood? Hey, how come that isn't cut? That's just a squirt of blood.
Well, they couldn't have two squirts, I guess, in the same half hour.
And they couldn't cut this look between Scotty and Ken. These guys become real
see, here's some extra zombies here.
These weren't in the original?
No, these were extra. This is this version of the film. There's Robert Williams, who Knight Rider's his big line is Axe.
Yeah, it's his only line.
He's also the boom man for this.
That's right. He's on the sound crew. Well, yeah, I mean, look, this is guerrilla filmmaking, man. We're using the caterers, for God's sake.
But this is the 139-minute cut of Dawn. Of course, minus the 6 seconds that the BBFC didn't want there. But this edit, they call it the director's cut. What it really is George's one of the rough cuts that he submitted to the Cannes Film Festival.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and this was it was trimmed down even more to 126 minutes, which was the final theatrical cut that we all saw for years.
Do you have a lighter?
Somewhere behind your butt there. Now here's, this scene was all cut. This was the famous dock scene.
Oh, is this the dock scene? Great, I haven't seen this in a long time. We decided to watch this cold. We did not preview this before watching it right now.
The spontaneity is more exciting, we felt.
Well, we hope so. I mean, I don't know that we're being that spontaneous, but...
Now this, I thought, was an important moment, because this was the first time that she is out in the catastrophe, and this is the first dead person that she's seen.
Yeah.
She hasn't even seen a zombie yet, so... She's trying to get a feel for her strength at this point, which makes itself apparent later on, obviously.
Yeah, you'll probably see these everybody around the helicopter at all times acting very gingerly. We had strict orders that nothing was to happen touch this helicopter. Blood, glue, goo, anything. Nothing was supposed to touch this helicopter. Mm-hmm. And when we shot the alternate ending, we had built a wooden crane over the helicopter, and I was so afraid the thing was going to fall on the helicopter. Okay, now I haven't seen this in ages. That guy sitting there, half of his face is gone. Yeah. Will they show it or not?
They probably will show that. I'm pretty sure the 6 seconds were just the explosion, the kids, and the bite. There he is.
Okay, so as long as there's no spurting, I have no idea. Somebody said,
that's not analyst,
can we make up this guy? So I got out the mortician's wax and covered his face in it, half his face in it, dug holes in it, put blood on it, and that was it. Got to work quick.
Now wait, listen here. No, it wasn't there. The voice on the radio that he responded to was George.
Oh. Well, doesn't George does a lot of voices, and he did the voice on the radio in My Night of the Living Dead.
He does a lot of voices just as a cameo kind of thing, and Mike Gornick does a lot too. When you hear a radio voice like in Martin or something, it's usually Mike Gornick.
Yeah, Mike Gornick always sounded like he was broadcasting.
Randy Kovitz?
He had a great voice. Now that was a radio voice. You'll hear Mike Gornick.
Joe Pilato from Day of the Dead.
And I don't know who that guy. Randy Kovitz is now a fight director.
Is he?
Yeah, with B.H. Barry and Patrick Crane of the Society of British Fight Directors.
He had a webpage somewhere. I found Randy Kovitz's webpage.
I usually see his name in a lot of action movies.
Those men were already dead. You were here, you know that.
Steve Andrews. Now, see, that's how you find his last name. It's in the book. There's a lot of stuff in the book that wasn't in the film for years because it was the theatrical cut had all this stuff removed. But just for the sake of trivia, do you know their last names? Fran, Stephen, and Peter, and those guys?
I don't know them, no.
It's Fran Parker.
I don't think I ever knew that, or because I never probably needed to.
Well, yeah. But from now on.
Okay, he's Steve Andrews.
Steve Andrews.
Fran Parker.
Roger DeMarco. And Peter Washington. Now, should we point out mistakes?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
This is set in Philadelphia at this point, right? That is a Pittsburgh police car.
Does it say Pittsburgh Police?
Yeah, watch the logo on the door.
Will they go to it
right
again?
There.
It's Pittsburgh Police, yeah. This is Philadelphia. Well, even Die Hard suffers from a guy in the phone booth supposed to be in
Die Hard too,
in
right.
California. No, supposed to be in Washington, and it says Pacific Bell.
Right. Well, they changed airports for that, rewriting it 3 or 4 times.
I remember offering to go in the Riverton this night when I made up that guy. I said, do you want to throw a zombie or kick a zombie or punch a zombie or throw a dead body into the river, have them kick it off? I'll go into the river.
That was what, January?
It was freezing. So thanks, Tom. Thanks. Well, no, that's all right.
Didn't want to buy you the wetsuit.
I would never do it. Today I would wear a wetsuit and do it.
Tasso did it for John Harrison's movie, Assassination.
Assassination File, right.
Went into
in the dead of winter, yeah. Well, even on Friday the 13th, when I was often in those ponds, being Jason, before he pops out of the water, it's wetsuits, but still freezing our butts off in the middle of California, Topanga Canyon.
What? Oh, for part 4.
Part 4, yeah, the final chapter.
You threw me off for a second there.
No, part 1 was in Camp Nobi Bosco in Blairsville, New Jersey. I get a lot of email on that one.
No relation to Burkittsville, the Blair Witch Project.
No. Which, at this recording, is 33 days in the theaters and has hit $107 million.
I always like this. The guy says, hey, you guys got any cigarettes? They all shake their heads, and the minute they take off, they all light up.
That's right. Nice touch.
If I hadn't just had one, I would light another cigarette.
Well, I'm currently smoking a cigarette right now. What was I just saying? What was I just talking about?
You're talking about Blair Witch?
Blair Witch, $107 million, a $25,000 movie.
That's right. Now, at the time, Dawn was one of the most lucrative independent films of all time. It cost, $1.5 million?
Oh, this was, look at the lights going off in the building.
That took me years to notice that shot. That's a great shot, the lights winking off. Like a zombie's hitting the breakers or something down there.
Or people are abandoning the building or something.
But
Chris
don't...
pointing out the ashtray to me, thank you. Not that there's ashes all over. We're in my bedroom, by the way.
Yeah. This is
watching a 6-foot television screen with a professional sound mixer. I hope it's working and this comes out all right.
And we have headphones on.
Yes.
I feel like the Howard Stern show.
Mm-hmm.
Did they get Howard Stern in Britain?
I hope not. I hope that once some country is spared.
Yeah. But at the time, Dawn it cost, $1.5 million to make, and it made $55 million. So it was one of the most profitable independent.
We're talking 1980, 79 or 80.
Yeah. Now Blair Witch for $35,000 has made over
$107 million.
Yeah.
Well, Charlton Heston was talking about how the actuaries figured out that if you were to make Ben-Hur today, it would cost about $240 million.
Yeah, at least.
This is the haunting theme music. I say haunting because I had an assistant that would have a keyboard and would play this, sample it, record it, and just hit a button and play it all day long.
Is it John?
John Vulich of the Optic Nerve Effects Group on Day of the Dead. He would just play that constantly.
Oh, the music would come true.
And on set. It would be great on set, though, because here's George Romero directing a zombie movie, and suddenly, and George would go, what? Where's that coming from?
Drifting out of the cave.
Right.
Now here's sort of the homage to Night here with the posse.
Yeah, and of course that helicopter is nowhere in the air. They're inside the studio for all those close-ups. I was there for that. These are not typical Americans. I just want to say that on the British DVD.
Yeah, please don't think that we all...
This is a select group Here's Joe. I bought a shotgun from that guy, the bearded guy.
The other guy.
Joe Ablin.
The other guy in front of him was David Butler's brother, John.
Who's that?
Remember David Butler? He was in your...
Oh, he's in my movie. He plays the two guys with
one of these guys at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's his brother, John.
That's why we sought him out. You'll see him at the end of my Night of the Living Dead.
Right. But John Butler I worked with for years as a set dresser. He's still doing that, in fact.
Okay, who would these be akin to in England? This branch of society.
I don't think English society has a level that
low. Okay.
Now this was the 10th Battalion of the
National Guard, probably.
National Guard, right?
Yes, the most oft repeated line.
There's David Butler right there.
Right. Look out behind you. Has it come up yet? Did they say it yet? Okay, look. First there were a trillion zombies around that car. But when we blew it up, we cleared the area.
Yeah, that's right. Plus the smoke was white, and then it's instantly black.
And we had to wait forever for them to set up this explosion, all day.
Was it worth the wait? Finally?
Yeah, because I had never seen a car blow up before.
I always like this.
Where's the ashtray?
It's behind your butt still, right there.
All right, great.
Yeah. These guys taking pot shots. I always like that. And the hands, that was a nice touch. As if somebody was...
I wish I could tell you whose hands they were, but I don't know.
I wish I could tell you.
This is not a major airport in the Pittsburgh area. What is this, the Monroeville?
This is Dave Burian, Snap, in the chat room, just found this airport. And he was raving about it. He says it hasn't changed a bit.
I got to talk about this zombie. This is Jim Crut. I picked him to be this guy because he had the lowest forehead of any of my friends. And I knew I was going to build him up. However, I built him up perfectly round. But because the hair is not matted down to conform with the buildup on his head looks like Frankenstein, looks square. I'm sure we did that, but it dried out by the time we got to this particular shot.
It's true. I can vouch. I've seen pictures.
Yes.
It's perfectly round. Looks like a head.
And when he stands up into the helicopter blade, the top section of his head is 5 or 6 different pieces just set together and held there probably with toothpicks. And they're all linked together by varying lengths of fish line, and I yanked off. No, Gary Zeller ran with the fish line, pulling off the first piece, which then would pull off the second, and then make it look like the head was unraveling. Behind his feet, behind the cases, I am down there with a friend. We both have large fire extinguishers filled with blood, and we are pumping blood up his legs into his head area for the wind and blood to mix in the air. And the helicopter blades were matted in later. The helicopter was not on. He was nowhere near real blades.
It's funny to think that there is an optical effect in the movie. Actually, there are a couple of them if you think about it. All the TV screens, whenever you see that they're watching TV and the scientists are arguing on TV, that's all matted in. That wasn't like on a VCR or anything. That was matted.
Oh, you mean the TV screens?
Yeah.
Right. Well, George does that in here, too.
Now, there's the great trick right here.
Right, he shoots at this door, and they had rigged up a machine to fire machine guns at this door, and it would not work. They would arch and just bounce off the wall, like if you were spitting paper wads at the...
Like air rifles or something.
Right, so George got pissed off, and he grabbed a screwdriver, and he went up and just poked holes in the door and said, shoot that hole, and edited it and just cut out frames so the holes looked like they appeared.
It just animated the holes in the door.
That's Nicky Tallo's father, and that's a rubber hammer. That he's going to whack him on the head with. And I think I put a blood pack at the end of the rubber hammer.
Yeah, it's a great...
So on impact, you would see blood splash out of the guy's head. See if it's in here.
Here it comes.
Boom, there it is. Okay.
Nice.
Just a blood bag, just a cellophane wrapper, food wrapper, blood bag filled with blood and just taped to the end of the hammer.
There's so many...
And that's Nicky Tallo's father. Nicky Tallo works on the Mr. Rogers show. He's the dolly man. He pushes the dolly for the shots.
Dolly grip. He's known as Bomba in town.
Bomba, yeah, another nickname.
Actually, he grew up with, but he...
I went to high school with him.
Did you?
Yeah, there's the hole. The hole simply just appeared, and that was an editing thing.
Oh, here comes the helicopter guy.
No, we're down behind, I don't think we're down behind the crates just yet.
Do you know where Bomba's nickname came from?
No, Bomba the Elephant Boy?
Yeah, it came from that, but it was he and Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton was also at the same... Here goes the head. See? Helicopter blades, blood. Yeah, sometimes the blood looks like melted crayons in this movie. It was before I was making my own blood, which is the Dick Smith formula. And we were buying blood from the 3M company, and it looked horrible, But it adds to the fantastical comic book aspect.
Sometimes it looks good, and sometimes it looks really
bad. There's the kids. This is my niece and nephew here.
What are their names?
Oh, thanks. That's Mike and that's Donna.
Okay.
And, you know, all I did was just make up little holes all over them, and I think George cuts to a shot of them after he shoots them. You don't actually see impact.
There is a kid later on, though, that has a squib on him in the mall.
I wonder how you should point him out to me.
A chest squib. I'll show you, yeah. And this guy here.
He has a bag on his head.
He's in a lot of pictures.
Now, the bag on his head is a metal plate with foam padding to protect the actor. On the metal plate. Oh, this is the classic zombie.
I love this guy.
Greg Nicotero of K&B Effects just sculpted a bust of this guy. He sent me 9 of them to sell at conventions, and they will be available on my website as well. By the way, it's www.savini.com. Lots of juicy stuff on that website. This guy, he just showed up. George says, we need a zombie to walk through the door.
We've been trying to find that guy for years. I have for my own website.
I think somebody said he was a cab driver.
Was he?
Yeah,
I would put an ad in the paper and say, do you know this zombie?
Yeah. But luckily he had a shaved head, so I just, again, mortician's wax out of the kit, a little bit of blood, some colors, you know, and now he becomes the poster. Mm-hmm. He's the poster.
The logo.
It's just like in Day of the Dead, you know, we had 200 background zombie masks for zombies supposedly way in the background. Then the costume department would make up the middle area of zombies, and then we would do all these wonderful appliance zombies for the front lines whenever you saw zombies. Every time a reporter came to the set and took photos of George, he was surrounded by the guys wearing the masks. It was horrible.
Yeah. It's like they say, it'll be a quick shot. You'll never see it.
Yeah, I never believe that. The check is in the mail. It's going to be a quick shot.
I see lots of little stuff like that is not in the theatrical version. Like he lifts him off the ground, helps him to his feet.
That's not in the theatrical version? No. It has to be. These guys have to be pals and buddies. Mm-hmm.
See, there's so many different versions of Dawn now that are available.
The director's cut, the unedited cut,
there's Dario's cut.
The collector's edition. Yeah, the Italian version.
Zombie, Dario's cut, doesn't even have the helicopter guy. Which is, of all the versions, I thought that would be in there.
You would think that would be in there.
They cut him out, I guess, for time or something.
That would be like cutting a juicy effect for dialogue. Mm-hmm. You know, tell the story in action.
Wasn't concerned with dialogue. If you watch Zombie, it's all, you know, squibs.
Yeah. Hey. Well, so that should have been in there.
Yeah.
Chris, by the way, has at parties and at conventions, we have little contests. Somebody will come in and they'll say, I've seen Dawn of the Dead 100 times. I know everything about it. Oh, yeah? Then Chris will start a line, and the guy will have to say who said it or finish the line, you know. This is the Monroeville Mall in Pittsburgh, a place called Monroeville. It is still there. Fans call me on the phone 11 o'clock at night sometimes, and they say...
And they say? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, what did they say?
No, it's Steve said, what the hell is it? Okay, now obviously he's never seen a shopping mall before, but at the time this was a revolutionary thing.
Oh, a shopping mall like this, yeah. Amazing how they got the whole, I mean, you couldn't build this set for millions and millions of dollars, and we got this shopping mall for pennies. What was I talking about?
You said
the Monroeville Mall, still, yeah. I get calls from fans, sometimes 11 o'clock at night. We're at, well, it can't be 11 o'clock at night because it closes at 9. But we're at the Monroeville Mall. We're walking around listening to the soundtrack. And they want to know where they can go to see familiar sights. The only thing that's left is pennies, you know.
Pretty much.
The ice skating rink that you'll see is now a food court. There are very few original stores. Barry Gress. He's the poor guy that we would test effects on. Most of these zombies, well, a lot of the zombies are our friends who we just said, come up to the mall and be a zombie.
Oh, there's a famous story of one night when Galen was leaving work, Galen Ross. After the wrap, she saw somebody with a really pale face walking up the steps, and she said, hey, we're done. Zombie, you can go home. And it was somebody working at the mall. She was just getting there in the morning to work.
Well, there was one night when, for some reason, I don't know who was in charge of this, they invited 30 or 40 senior citizens, and they would come in at 7 o'clock in the morning, and they would walk around the mall. This was their exercise, to walk around the mall.
Under controlled weather conditions.
Right. So at a certain corner in the mall, on one side, approaching the corner, were these 30 senior citizens, and on the other side, 300 zombies. There were no catastrophes. There were no heart attacks, but it was quite the sight that early in the morning.
What? The cigarettes?
Or the cigarettes, right here.
Thank you. So we should wait, and every time somebody in the movie lights up, we should have a cigarette.
That's right.
Like my will this week. Now this, they built a duplicate of this thing somewhere else to shoot out of, right?
Well, when he looked down at it, it wasn't even there. This is just a box on top of the mall. It doesn't go anywhere. It's just a box that's about 2 or 3 feet deep, 4 feet deep.
And sent Mike inside there with a camera.
And when you look down into it, it's actually miles and miles away, 25 minutes away, at us on the top of George Romero's office building again.
The latent image.
And now they're in the office building.
No, this isn't the office building. This set was built in a warehouse down in the Strip district, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is the set that caught on fire once. There was an electrical fire.
No. It was their apartment set that got caught on
That's
fire.
what this is. They just furnished it.
Oh, that's right. You're right. That's right. So it's this place.
Mm-hmm.
No, but then that is definitely the top of George Romero's office building. That's where the fire was.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Ah.
And this becomes the apartment, and that's where the whole set is. And it's also in this apartment building that it's that interior of the elevator that we used instead of the one at the mall that he gets into.
Right.
When he goes up into the shaft.
Uh-huh. There's a couple of cuts like that. The shaft, the elevator shaft is latent image building.
Are you hearing yourself good in there?
It sounds kind of faint. Can you hear me?
I hear you fine.
Okay.
I hear you fine. I hope they're hearing us as
I hope,
well.
yeah. If you can't hear us in your homes in Britain there.
You won't know it because it will not have been recording and it won't be here when we play it back.
That's right.
But if it is recording, then they are hearing this. This stuff was, I think it's real stuff that was donated to us.
The civil defense.
Yeah, I mean, I remember looking in there and there was stuff in there.
I can't eat Spam anymore.
Oh, I like Spam. Spam light, especially. Spam. Lots of protein.
Light.
But I'm on a high protein.
That's what they're removing from it to make it light.
Lard, probably.
Mm-hmm. Scrapple. Do they have Scrapple in?
Now, Ken was always coming up to me by covering up this black mark, a black circle, like a birthmark that he had on the side of his head. I think it's right there on the right. And, I was doing the straight makeup and doing the zombie makeup and playing a part and doing the stunts. And, I just was not really a bother. I wasn't very confident in knowing how to match his color to what I had.
It was like a mole or something.
Yeah, it was black. I mean, I think you do see it at some point, but I do my best to try to cover it up. Mm-hmm. It's on.
I know I've seen it on him in other movies.
Yeah, it's on the left side of his head there that's in the shadows right now. It's like a perfectly round black circle. Now these steps are certainly at the mall.
Possibly.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
This is at the mall.
That's certainly the mall, yeah. But those steps are the back stairs in the office building. Because look where they're going, leading up to the apartment, of course, which is there.
Have you seen the lighter?
The lighter is right here. I will light your cigarette for you.
Thank you. Right here. Chris Romero said at one time that these guys have a great look together, and I agree. I would love to see them in something else as a team, Scotty and Ken. And Scotty told me at the convention when I first met him that Kenny was always sassing him about something like he's tall and black and Scott was short and white. And I think the thing in the truck with the too tall, too slow, too. I think that was really them just to add improvising back and forth.
Yeah, there was a lot of that going on. Scotty was cool.
Yeah, he's a nice guy, really nice guy. I email him every now and again. Now that's you made a good point on the other commentary track.
I did.
Yeah.
Talking about the Laserdisc.
Yeah, the Anchor Bay Laserdisc. You mentioned the keys. You made a joke. You said, look for the gasoline key.
Oh, yeah.
But George said that's a recurring theme, and he's right, exactly.
The keys are a recurring theme?
Yeah.
What about Day of the Dead?
Maybe not Day. I can't think of a key in Day. Maybe not. Maybe
Let's think about that one.
Yeah.
This is certainly the Monroeville Mall. Is the photo machine there? Did you see the photo machine? You know these photo machines where you go in and you sit there and you put $1 in or so and you get your photo taken. On the outside they have examples of the photos. Well, a lot of our zombies would go into the photo machine take a strip of photos of themselves in this hideous zombie makeup and replace the photos on the outside of the machine.
Now look, notice that the names of the stores on the map have been changed. Do you notice that?
Changed from what, though?
Well, originally the stores, there were, I think, 200-some stores in the mall, and only about, I think, 230 and like 225 of them gave permission to be seen in the film.
Ah.
So the two big department stores...
So you couldn't mention their name.
Right. You couldn't see horns, and you couldn't see...
You're right. I never remember seeing horns.
Horns or gimbals.
Yeah. Only J.C. Penney do we see.
And... we only see Penny's, and they shoot it from the end as if they're looking away from one of the stores at the end, but they're really standing in front of Penny. Now, my mom, get this, my mom, who doesn't watch horror movies, and I can't believe she watched this, but she made a valid point years ago. She said when they came in, he said, I haven't seen any zombies on the second floor. As soon as he turns the escalator on, they start coming up. The zombies start coming up the escalator, watch.
Right, but if they're only, that's Tasso Stavrakis.
My bro. My brother.
And he is Chris's brother. He plays Sledge in this movie, Sledge, because he carries a sledgehammer. I'm Blades because I'm just covered in knives. We just made up these parts. They're not in the script. We said we'd like to run around and be characters, so George let us do whatever we wanted to.
See, the zombies are coming up now.
Okay, so then there would be some on the second floor after this.
Yeah, well, that's what she said when they came in, that they mentioned there were no zombies on the second floor. And as soon as they turned them on, now, poof, the second floor is full of zombies. I thought it was a good point for Mom to make, who, typically doesn't watch films.
But I don't get it. If we see the zombies going up the escalator, certainly there would be zombies after that in the second floor.
Yeah, but the point was that she said they came in. He said, I haven't seen any on the second floor.
He said that, okay.
Yeah, meaning it was safe to go in there.
Uh-huh.
But by turning on the escalator, they brought them up to the second floor.
Okay, I see. They
thus creating a problem for themselves.
Oh, like they don't do that through the whole movie. Yeah, everything they do. That's the whole point of these. Even Night of the Living Dead, Harry, the guy who said they should stay in the house in the basement, was right.
Uh-huh. There's the Brown Derby.
That's that restaurant where zombies would go to get drunk.
Zombie hangovers. And I always enjoyed that. Jesus, they're maniacs, and then he immediately runs to join them.
Of course, because it's fun to be a maniac.
Yeah. And there's a nice squib here where a guy does sort of a cartoon hop.
That's right, one leg backwards.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Not that guy.
No, we just put a squib in his hair.
Here he is. Boop.
See, you felt the impact of the bullet. Guy today is probably a great actor somewhere. Or a mime.
Yeah.
Well, that's all he does. He travels around, and this is my bit from Dawn of the Dead. And
so there's a guy who does that. There's a famous picture later on outside the mall of 3 or 4 of the lead zombies, like Sharon, who's the nurse, and Jay Stover, who's the guy who carries the gun. In fact, I think right here is where Jay gets the gun. But there's a bearded guy, sort of portly bearded fellow in a suit. And he came up to Kyra and myself at a convention and said, hi, I'm John, whatever. I think his name is John. And he had a business card, and his business card said, appeared in Dawn of the Dead.
That was it, his claim to fame, yeah. Well, whatever you have. That's Jay Stover. Uh-huh. Jay Stover was what? He was some coordinator of some kind.
Production coordinator or something.
Casting or something.
No, John Amplis did casting, actually.
Uh-huh.
But it's interesting that he's holding onto that gun, that he's sort of a precursor to Bub, almost, that he's the one zombie who's kind of thinking about it.
Yeah, I think that was the idea. I think George had that. I mean, the trilogy must have, aspects of it had to be in his mind.
I think at this point he started thinking of it in terms of a trilogy, because the original script that he wrote for this had a couple living like cave people up in the rafters at the mall, and scientists were bringing bodies to store in the freezers of the mall as food for the zombies. Did you know
that would be way too soon in the story. Yeah,
George pushed it far back.
That's a good idea.
Hang on to it for the third film.
Jay Stover also is someone who, a lot of the key zombies in the film are people who worked in the same restaurant as Chris Romero in New York City.
Lady Astor's.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, Lady Astor. A lot of people. Scotty, in fact, earlier you see him pouring, or maybe it's after this. Yeah, it's after this. You see him pouring himself a shot of whiskey or something, and you see him measuring with fingers, because he was a bartender at Lady Astor's.
Ah, so Scotty, he also was a friend of Chris's.
Uh-huh. They went to college together.
Hey, wait a minute. They didn't show the guy in the basement.
Which guy? That
they shoot. Down here. Okay, we're still down here then. Great, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's all that's cut from the British version, is those 6 seconds.
Well, no, I think that control room, I don't even know if that's in the mall.
I was wondering that earlier.
I think it's someplace else. It's at a plant somewhere, someplace.
And if you're ever in the States and you come to Monroeville Mall, you can still do this at this escalator.
Tasso and I used to stand on the railings, the black railings, and ride them up like surfing until the scarce guards. We had the whole run of this mall all night. There just happened to be a guard when we did that.
Now, a lot of people in Pittsburgh still look like this today.
Yeah. In fact, if you're born in Pittsburgh, one of the things you want to be when you grow up is a zombie in a George Romero movie.
Yeah, it's almost a law. You have to be a zombie at some point.
Artisan, I read today, is doing a zombie movie, a big zombie movie.
George Clooney.
That's his company?
No, George Clooney. It's their. What I heard was they're doing a film version of a comic book called Dead World, and they want Clooney to be in it. It's a zombie. It's basically the same.
You're talking Artisan.
I don't know if it's Artisan or not, but I heard Clooney was attached to that project.
Huh. Well, if that's true, Artisan are the producers of the Blair Witch Project. But what they said was...
you can kind of see him creeping along back there.
But what they said was that we haven't had a good zombie movie in a long time, so...
They're jump on George.
Doing this zombie movie. That guy, by the way, who they're not up here, but down in the basement. Well, I'll tell you when we get to him again.
Yeah.
Well, that black spot on Ken's forehead is not there.
Huh.
I did a nice job there.
He must have done a good job.
Yeah.
This guy on the floor, somebody told me once who he was, and I don't recall. The guy who gets shot after he gets dragged in the door.
He might have been a security guard. You know, after a while, you become a family, and everyone you're just joking around. Now, that's Warner Shook.
Yeah.
Pulitzer Prize winning Warner Shook.
Warner Shook.
Pulitzer Prize for what? Playwriting, I think.
He wrote...
That's a category. But something. It was a Pulitzer Prize for literature for something that he created.
He's also in Creepshow.
And Night Riders.
Night Riders.
Yep.
Plays Pippin.
And he is definitely a friend of Chris Romero's from the restaurant days.
Yeah.
Aren't there like 48,000 ricochets? I mean, it's the magic bullet theory. There's so many ricochets. You know, by the time it hits the third thing, I think it's got to be slowing down.
Through the zombie.
And that's a 22.
Yeah. I remember George was talking about, it was hell, cutting those ricochets together from the sound effects source tape.
Yeah, because they're different. Listen to each one is different. It sounds like
15 different ricochets in there.
Yeah, cutting those together. This is another sewing button glued to the forehead. Mm-hmm. Fish line coming out of it covered with mortician's wax.
Well, there's a scare coming up too. He doesn't get him right away. So he wastes all his bullets shooting the pipes.
That's right. He has to quickly try to
load the gun.
Yeah.
You feel lucky, punk.
Did I shoot 6 or 5?
I guess it was 6.
Whoops. My luck has run out.
Come on, open up. Maybe I ought to go with you. Open up. I can get the wagon open. Flyboy, let's get him on our side.
Okay. That's my internet name, by the way, Flyboy.
That's right. You can find Chris as Flyboy in the chat room.
In the chat room?
No, in the chat room, you're the Greek.
As the Greek.
Yes.
Or alternately, Gleek Plick.
Gleek Plick, which is Chinese for you know what.
Yeah.
And, that was the scare you're talking about?
Yeah, he comes out and grabs him. And then he has a tense moment here trying to find the loaded.
But your Flyboy is your email address.
It's my email address, yeah.
Chris also sculpts Flyboy. Sculpts busts of Bub from Day of the Dead and there it was.
No, it's not Flyboy and Bub. It's the pilot and the captive. And if they happen...
What do you mean the pilot and the captive?
If they happen to look like...
It's him. It's David Emge, right?
No,
Flyboy.
Certainly not. No.
And Bub.
If they happen to look like familiar...
Yes, that's true. Yes, they are similar to those characters, and they're not called those names.
No, they're tributes to...
tributes to
zombies in general.
Yeah, but this is in Britain.
Yeah, well... Better to be safe than sued.
Isn't that on a pack of cigarettes?
Like in Canada, it says smoking will kill you.
Yes. In America, I don't know what you have in England, but in America, it's a very polite, formal. Smoking can cause hazardous catastrophes to your innards or something like that.
There's Boris.
That's Boris, the dummy that I built for this movie. We use him many times. In Canada, it's simply big type. Smoking will kill you.
Don't mince words there. Now, this guy, a lot of people think that's a mistake, that his mustache disappears, this guy here, but it's just the fluorescent lighting, I think.
Oh, so he looked like he had a mustache?
Looks like he does have a mustache. It looks like it vanishes.
Sure he doesn't shoot his mustache off? There's the photo booth.
Yep, there it is. It's still there today. Might be a different booth, but the hallway has a photo booth in it, and you can, if you're a zombie, you can replace the pictures with.
No, you can't replace them anymore. See, now it's under plexiglass.
Has this guy?
Way back then, it was these strips that you could actually reach in and behind, and then put them in.
That guy was not a real Hare Krishna.
No, of course not. Okay. We just decided to make a Hare Krishna.
I always like that punch. The guy does that spin. I always like that.
You know, the idea is as many walks of life as possible. People are from all walks of life die and become zombies. I mean, in Day of the Dead, there were clown zombies.
But particularly in religious attire. Oh, here's John.
Yep, John Harrison, who directed Assassination File, who also directed Tales from the Dark Side.
The movie.
The movie was in Night Riders.
He did the score, the soundtrack for Day of the Dead.
And he just showed up, and we said, let's kill this other zombie. And then this is an example of, we should sit around and think of ways to kill people. So we went to George and we said, how about if we take a screwdriver and drive it in the zombie's ear? George said, yeah, okay. A couple hours later, we had rigged it painted a soda straw silver, cut a screwdriver in half, and made a retractable screwdriver. This is only held in his ear here with mortician's wax. I mean, really caked in there. He was cleaning mortician's wax out of his ear.
He had a lot of wax in his ears.
For a long time, yeah.
Also, he goes by sometimes John Sutherland, if you've seen a lot of episodes of Tales from the Dark Side.
He's a scriptwriter living in L.A. right now.
And he was recognized once. Somebody at a bowling alley, he told me, a bowling alley in L.A. saw him without his mustache and said, hey, you're the guy who got the screwdriver in his ear.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah. In L.A., some woman came up to him.
Well, because he does look exactly the same.
He doesn't look any different.
Except he's not gray.
Yeah. Well, I guess in the morning. I've had coffee yet. Look at all the grease paint on that door there, on the window.
Well, it's probably cake makeup. I wasn't using any grease paint on these guys.
Pancake.
It was real quick. Wet the sponge, throw it on, goodbye. Next. There's a great section on doing the makeup in Document of the Dead. I don't know if you have that in England, but if you ever come across Roy Frumkes, put it together. He's an instructor at the School of Visual Arts in New York.
Also did a film called Street Trash.
Yes, and he did a documentary called Document of the Dead. It's the whole making of this, and it's brilliant. And even goes into, he added the revised edition now is the scenes from Two Evil Eyes. Yeah. He's walking with George at the mall, and suddenly it's 20, 30 years later, he's walking with George, and they're both gray. You know, a great jump cut in the documentary.
If you can find it, see it. Do not miss Document of the Dead.
Oh yeah, it's brilliant.
It's phenomenal.
No, there's always a chance of some of them staying up on the balcony. Break through them.
I wonder how they ended up in the carpet store. Or is that just the carpet section of pennies?
I don't know. When they go in the gun store, it's also like 30 miles away.
No, it's Firearms Unlimited.
Yeah, in East Liberty.
Well, it's not 30 miles away.
Well, it's 25 minutes.
Okay.
25 minutes away. So at least 25 miles away.
That's closed now, by the way, Firearms.
Yeah, it's a car dealership. But when they open the hatch from below, they're in the mall, and when they jump into it, they're 25 miles away in Firearms Unlimited. You know, when George and I did the Laserdisc, sometimes we would just stop and watch the movie and forget
It's hard not to. It's hard not to sit and watch the movie because it keeps your attention.
Well, I haven't seen this in a while, too. Now, here, look, we're in the mall. It's probably 3 o'clock in the morning. We could drive motorcycles through these stores. Try to do that today.
If you go to the mall, this elevator still exists in JCPenney's. Looks exactly the same. Although you won't see it here, but immediately to the right of the elevator is a door leading outside to the parking lot.
It's not they built that later?
And they cut around it.
Okay, now we're at the latent image office at George Romero's building.
One-stop shopping. And another thing that I feel stupid for not realizing sooner, but when I was working on Desperate Measures, Michael Keaton, Andy Garcia movie we shot here a couple years ago, that every time you see in any movie, Die Hard, Dawn of the Dead, whatever it is, when you see somebody crawling through a shaft, like an air vent like that, it's always built on.
Oh, yeah. Even in France, on Mr. Stitch, they built this elaborate path or tunnel for Will Wheaton to crawl through.
Just for some reason, it never occurred to me. It's like the thing, like when they pull the rearview mirrors off the windshield of cars, and you never notice it's not there. You ever see that?
So it doesn't block the actor.
Right. But a lot of people don't notice it's not there.
They shoot a lot of movies, by the way, here in Pittsburgh. There was a strike in New York City some years back, and producers would go, the directors would go there and shoot a master shot, and then come here to Pittsburgh. My neighborhood's been Brooklyn, the Bronx. Now here's the gun store that's 25 miles away from the mall. And what was I saying?
Looks like Brooklyn and...
Oh, yeah, they shoot a lot of movies here. They just shot Inspector Gadget here. Wonder Boys was shot here. Silence of the Lambs was shot here. Hoffa, a lot of movies here. You're smoking again. You're not going to have any voice by the end of this.
What?
We're contributing to the delinquency of horror movie fans. Is that possible?
Smoking is bad. Don't do it.
Smoking will kill you.
There you go. Public service announcement from Stavrakis and Savini.
Yes. Stavrakis and Savini sounds like either a law firm or a circus act. The Flying Savini.
Now, I always wondered why she didn't take the flare and just light this guy's little wick on fire there.
On the back of his head, and then it would burn down and his head would blow up.
Sure. The fuse, light the fuse.
Well, the nice thing is at least he's not playing that tambourine.
Oh, you know, it's great, though, in Dario's version, which is all goblin music.
He plays the tambourine?
No. There's a lot of...
He sings Kumbaya?
He does. You must have seen it.
No.
No, there's a lot of library music here, which is, they call it needle drop.
In this one or Dario's?
This one.
Okay.
In Dario's version, it's all the goblin soundtrack. And during this scene, there's a version of this music from the roof, except that there's a tambourine mixed in, so it sounds great. It sounds like dun, 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 you know. Too bad that's not the soundtrack somewhere.
Is that Goblin soundtrack available?
The Goblin soundtrack is. Unfortunately, the library music is not. And the gonk, which is that goofy mall theme, that's...
Isn't that library?
I get email about that at least once a week, and that is library music, but you can't get it anywhere. The company that owns that piece of music still exists.
Who would want it? You know what? We would go to the mall at 7 o'clock at night, and we would shoot all night, of course, and around exactly 7 o'clock every morning, the Muzak would come on, ruining and preventing any sound takes. In fact, we would be looking forward to the music coming on at that hour of the mornings because we knew that would be great. We can go home soon, you know. But no matter what, nobody knew how to turn this music off. It's like it came out of some central location in Arizona or something, you know.
See, Muzak comes from a satellite now.
Oh, really?
I don't know if it did then.
Oh, great. So now we have no choice when they can bombard us with music wherever we go.
Yep.
But anyway, the music came on and we couldn't shoot any sound takes after that, which invariably meant we didn't shoot anything after that. I remember, the community room is down the hallway, not down this hallway, but and that's where we made up all the zombies. That's where a television was set up, the food to entertain people, the hundreds of extras.
I was going to mention it's a funny overnight story at the mall. Go ahead.
That's what I was going to just talk about, but where was I with that?
The community room.
The community room, right. Oh, because you know, even at 7 o'clock in the morning when we were done and the music would come on, we would still hang around and have breakfast in one of the places in the mall that would just open because there'd be 3 feet of snow outside, and the drive home was just not something you looked forward to, you know. And one night, it was just one morning, you know, I just did not feel like driving home, so I went into a closet inside the community room of the mall with my current girlfriend at the time, Jeannie Jeffries. It was innocent. We were tired. We just went right to sleep. We woke up in the middle of the day to, you know, get ready to go to work, and we walked out of the community room right into a board meeting of the owners of the mall and who knows what other big business lawyer corporation bigwigs.
All very surprised.
And we came out of this closet in the middle of their meeting and smiled and walked out. And I certainly heard about that when I arrived on the set that evening.
Yeah.
What do you expect? No, I mean, she really looks sick.
I always wished I could hear more of what this guy was saying on the radio, because it sounds, he's talking about China, and he's talking about the rest of the world now dealing with the zombie thing. It's certainly spread further than it had in Night of the Living Dead.
About 4 months. Jesus. Steve, maybe we should try to get rid of it. We can deal with it. Yeah, but maybe.
And that's right. That's what they should have done, because staying there is their demise. Actually, if it wasn't for the bike gang,
They would have had it made.
they would have been all right for a while, but somebody would have to show up. In this case, it was.
Well, the power would probably eventually go off or something.
Yeah, there was a roving bike gang.
But look at it this way. If they had torn the batteries out of those trucks or made them completely undrivable, the guys couldn't have gotten into them. Well, they probably would have shot their way under the doors or something.
Well, they would have had... That's right. It would have taken them a lot longer to get inside the mall.
But they would have wired the trucks.
Oh, they would have towed the truck somehow.
In fact, no, you have a line where you say...
They would have turned them over.
They're still taped up.
What is still taped up?
That was one of your lines. It was... I think it's in this version, but it might be in Dario's. The leads, the hot wiring in the car was still taped up.
I said that?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And here's a scene. This was also cut from the theatrical version. She mentions Canada, which was their original plan, was to fly to Canada and
because there'd be no zombies up there. But if they're in China, what, Canada is neutral, or
no,
as far as zombieism?
Well, they were going to go into the mountains, I guess, and build a cabin or something. Where there were no people, theoretically.
What are they going to do? Land another pilot to fly it out?
Something you just said reminded me of something. You're talking about them going to Canada, right? And it was neutral. I can't think of it.
No.
Oh, I was thinking of Switzerland.
Oh.
What Orson Welles has said in that book, about how through all the years of war and turmoil in Italy, it produced Michelangelo and Da Vinci, and a country like Switzerland that has been neutral throughout eternity, what produced the cuckoo clock.
What does that tell you? Well, if any people, Swiss people, watch this, nothing personal.
No, of course not.
We greatly enjoy the cuckoo clock.
Yes, I think I have one somewhere. Although a raven comes out of mine and says, nevermore. What's that from? The Munsters had a cuckoo clock where a raven came out. No, he would always say stupid, funny things, yeah.
Only at Savini's house, the raven comes out of the clock.
Someday you guys should produce a video of all the behind-the-scenes stuff that I have from, not this movie, because the video cameras were didn't exist back then. I had the first Betamax, I think. But since then, every movie I've ever done is loaded with, behind-the-scenes stuff. We should produce a video. If you're interested, give me a buzz. They'll probably cut that one, huh?
Maybe not.
Yeah.
They'll have to leave a long blank space so it'll match up with the rest of the film.
Okay, that was Chris Romero's father, I think, that guy.
Yeah. And her mother is here, too.
This guy is freezing outside.
He was like George and Chris Romero's banker or something. There's Chris's mother right there.
Right there in the blue Chinese-looking thing. Now this ice skating rink is not there anymore.
Alvin Rogel, that's that chubby guy was. Alvin Rogel.
And that was Bill, the guy who shot the guy's head off. I just went blank on his name.
Jim Baffico.
Jim Baffico, yeah, that's his wife right there. She gets a huge bullet hit in the head later on in the film. These fountains are still there at the mall.
Although they discourage falling into them.
Yeah, from the balcony, yeah. Like I will do later on.
Right. This guy here, Richard France, George...
He's a pirate, isn't he?
I guess so. Blackbeard, could be. George told me he's been writing a book about Bela Lugosi for close to 20 years.
What's his name?
Richard France.
That's out. I think it's here.
The book?
I have a Lugosi book, and that name sounds very familiar. I'll have to dig that up.
He was also in The Crazy. This guy, Howard Smith, he directed a film called Gizmo.
He did Gizmo?
Yeah.
Gizmo was great.
That's a great movie.
Hilarious movie.
If you can find Gizmo, watch that too. Very funny. There's Jedi Knight Galen.
Yes.
Use the Force.
The semis are big enough to block the entrances.
You sure we can
I don't know about... That's one of the things that bugs me in a movie, when they show binocular frames like that,
You'd never see it.
Yeah, right. If you're looking through binoculars, you don't see that. You see it clear as a bell.
But when you see it in a film, instantly you think, binoculars.
Yeah, right. She's in the mall. No, she's in the upstairs of the apartment looking up at that's really there. They duplicated that particular box on the roof on the top of the mall.
Now, Richard France was also in The Crazies, one of George's earlier films.
That was before Night of the Living Dead, wasn't it? Or after.
After. I think it was the third film after that. Playing almost the same character. Plays a scientist. No eye patch, though. And he tries to do a Boston accent or something. Doesn't quite work.
May I say something
But you have to be from Boston to know that.
Yeah.
Sorry you found out I'm pregnant because I don't want to be treated.
Uh-oh.
Dun 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 dun.
He's getting chastised.
In front of his buddies.
What's going on? And I want to have something to say about the plans. There's 4 of us, okay?
Fair enough.
What's going on?
We're going out. And you're not coming.
You tell her.
That's right. You can know what's going on, but we can tell you what to do.
Something else.
Now, Galen won a bunch of awards for a film she directed about solidarity.
That's right. She's a documentary filmmaker.
Yeah, she just did something called Dealers Among Dealers, which was about the diamond merchants in Manhattan. But
She lives in Manhattan.
She lives in Manhattan, but I think Out of Solidarity was the name of the one she did. She won the American Film Award and the Golden Eagle Award, a bunch of stuff.
Should we be doing this with English accent?
I have no idea. Shall we start now?
I don't know, because every time I do it, they say, it's too much, Tom. Too much.
A little too much.
Too much. Americans, they always...
You have to keep it down.
Yeah. But great English actors like Kenneth Branagh, I mean, part of their toolbox is that they can do...
An American accent flawlessly.
Yes, Anthony Hopkins, Kenneth Branagh.
Gary Oldman does a flawless...
You know, but when we do an English accent, it's over the top.
I suppose it all depends on the actor.
Well, I'll be gobsmacked.
Yep.
You know that one? I'll be gobsmacked?
Somebody said that in the chat room the other night.
Well, somebody said it to me right to my face when I was in England.
Well, I'll be gobsmacked.
I'll be gobsmacked. I love it, because we do a lot of gobsmacking in this movie. It's onomatopoeic. It sounds like what it means. Gobsmack. It's like burst or pissed or smash or crash or... They sound like what they mean.
And the sky here goes from blue to cloudy with rapid
Oh,
frequency.
well, the weather in Pittsburgh does change every 16 seconds.
That's true.
See there, look, cloudy.
Now, this is
dull.
nowhere near the mall, actually. This is out in North Irwin. At the BP company, I believe, no longer exists.
They make it seem like it's at the top of the hill away from the mall,
Top
don't
of the
they?
hill, right. Looks well, because the trucks come right down James Street.
Yeah.
The old James Street extension, they call it. And see, they're really just ad-libbing this stuff. And of course,
The machine is set for Spanish.
uh-oh.
We're speaking English, but it's going into Spanish. We'll change that later.
Ayeres. El Grande Negro.
Where's Flyboy? Where's his 20?
Up in the room.
Flag girl.
Flagler. Now that's James Street. They're coming down now. And there's a bunch of freezing cold zombies.
I remember George saying, we need more zombies. Can we spread them out? Can we make it look like more?
You know, they didn't even need to have makeup on for a shot like that.
Yeah. I think your brother pops up here, doesn't he? With pajamas on or something?
Shot a couple of times in his pajamas, yeah.
Right. How you got in my pajamas? His pajamas, I don't know.
By the way, if someone...
Wait, I get hit with a truck here.
Oh, there
Boom,
you
that's
go.
me. Boom, boom. Ha, me again. Boom, me again. Yes,
times.
that was me all 3 times.
I wonder if somebody in Britain can explain why they spell pajamas with a Y.
They do?
Pajamas, yeah.
Well, color is C-O-L-O-U-R.
Well, they throw the U in a lot of times.
Here it's O-R.
Yeah. And they'll use an S instead of a Z
Really?
in words like recognize, yeah.
I recognized that last night in the chat room. Somebody said that. You mean there's a Z in recognize?
Here comes Tasso right here.
Where?
Right, you can't,
Oh, boom.
You can't miss him right here.
That was the dummy.
There he is.
There's Tasso. Tasso plays Sledge later on, you'll see. I mean, see, we played so many parts. I know I did at least 16 stunts in here before Tasso came aboard. Tasso and I were going to school together at Carnegie Mellon University, and he was a student of mine in the makeup class and also a classmate. I was on a fellowship there.
Now, I just talked to...
I took a leave of absence to do this movie and haven't been back since.
How did you get your degree?
I didn't.
Oh?
I've been to college twice, and both times 3 years, and got busy. And
Don't they list you as an alumnus, though?
Of course. Of course.
And George, too. He never graduated CMU.
Yeah.
No, what's his name? Rod Carter?
Rod Carter, the makeup artist?
he said he taught Tasso makeup for a while at CMU. That was before you came back
That's
from
right.
Vietnam?
That's right.
Okay.
Actually, I had been back from Vietnam for 7 years living in Carolina. Came back and did this. Taught at Carnegie Mellon in the makeup class. Well, I showed my makeup portfolio, did a scene, and they gave me a full scholarship as long as I taught the makeup course. Holly Hunter was one of my students and classmates, and Sherry Belafonte.
Oh, I didn't know she went to
Yeah,
CMU.
absolutely. She was a lighting major, of all things.
Who else? Somebody from Hill Street Blue. What was that guy's name? From L.A. Law.
Oh, I don't know.
Blair Underwood. He went to CMU. Probably not while you were there.
Yeah. Well, Jeff Goldblum is from this area. So is Gene. Lots of famous people. Gene Kelly, Perry Como.
Yeah.
Now, is that me yet? Because there's some point where I put the blonde wig on and become...
Only when you fly out.
This is Jeannie Jeffries, my ex-girlfriend, at the time.
Was she the one you came out of the community room with, right?
Yeah, that's right. And we became boyfriend and girlfriend when I was doing her makeup, and the producer offered, because she was going through such hell, you'll see the makeup that'll be on her when I blow her face off, going through hell with blood seeping under the appliance and stuff. That was her. He offered to buy her, or have her go to this most expensive restaurant in Pittsburgh and have dinner. And I said, can I go? We ordered Dom Perignon. We went the limit on that dinner.
I'm sure Richard frowned at the bill on that.
Well, I never heard about it. But... Okay, I'm coming. Shoot me in the face.
Not yet.
Okay, gotta line the trucks up first. Raise its head.
It's very funny also. I have a copy of this that's dubbed in German. The German cut is only 109 minutes long.
Oh my God.
And they cut all the effects, most of the big effects. And it's very funny hearing...
Wait, here it comes. I'm going to pull, instead of a button, the whole side of her face I pulled off, and it hit the cameraman.
Yeah, covered Mike.
Again, the melted crayon coloring of the blood. When he kicks her out of the truck, it's really me wearing a blonde wig.
Right there.
Blink!
There you are.
This guy, again, there's three, I don't know how many holes in this guy's head. They're too perfect, and he bleeds like spigots. You'll see. Here it comes.
If you watch carefully, you can see the
wire?
The fishing line, on the left. See it?
Oh, great. And thank you, it was a quick cut. Did the same thing in Friday the 13th Part 4. All of the effects were quick cut, so he could dwell on the Jason death at the end. But it makes it better when they're quick.
Sure.
You see it. You see enough of it. You don't have to dwell on it. It's not pornography.
That's why a lot of people are complaining about the Blair Witch. They say you never see anything. That's the whole point.
Right. And Time Magazine singled me out as the antithesis of the Blair Witch Project, saying, Well,
it didn't say your work was bad. It said great, fabulous prosthetics.
The maestro, the makeup maestro, they called me. And the producers of this movie I'm working on are using that to raise money on this next film, on Slice.
Although on the cover of the Time Magazine was my high school buddy, Ed Sanchez.
Right. Chris went to school with the creator of the Blair Witch Project. Let me touch you, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's see, what's their cut of $107 million?
Probably 7.
Well, that's not bad.
Not bad at all.
I would just retire. I would be lazy. I would concentrate on painting and body, but that's me. It's me.
Out.
I just
see the trampoline for a second.
Yeah, I bounced off a trampoline. We timed
these guys didn't catch you this last one.
I know, they were supposed to catch me. That was Marty Schiff back there.
Was that Marty?
Yeah. What was I saying, though? Look, melted crayon, see it?
You were saying you would retire. Not be lazy, but...
No, I would just paint and body build and sculpt. Yeah. And, make movies, of course.
Sure.
Look, they're within the lines of the painted cement out there. That was Boris. Boris, poor Boris.
Yeah, there's Barry again, wearing the same t-shirt. I guess he's the same.
Didn't we kill him yet? I thought we killed Barry.
No.
Okay, somewhere up here, when we're close up on people firing from the roof, they fire.
Oh, Mike Gornick.
Mike Gornick gets shot in the leg with a very hot wad of burning whatever.
Oh, on the zombie, the independent zombie film I just worked on. I don't know if I should mention the title yet. But
don't do it.
Yeah. But one of the guys was in the way of a blank for the shot, and he picked off a sticker after we called cut, and the sticker said, full load.
Oh, on the blank. This guy, he was also an amputee. Let's tear his arm off, we said, Nice head squib there. Yeah. We should add our own sound effects.
Like when the hair flies off.
Ping, ping, boing, ping, Ping.
There was a good one.
That was a sewing button pulled out of wax with blood.
Donald Rubinstein?
Donald, he wrote the music for Night Riders.
Yeah.
And is Richard Rubinstein's brother.
There's Tasso again.
Where? They're in the pajamas,
yep.
right? Shoot him, shoot him. Squib on Tasso's pocket.
Ow.
Boom, there he goes.
She shoots him a bunch of times, too.
Oh, yeah.
Poor Tasso. Ow.
Oh, yes, shoot him many times. Can't we just run over his head, too?
Ow.
Oh, okay.
Now, of course, there's two grips shaking the truck.
We're somewhere in some studio right now. That's why the curtains are probably drawn, too. Couldn't put a rear projection screen back there. Well, if it was made in the 50s, they would have, you know.
They have a truck back there.
Oh, the whole cab of the truck, yeah.
But Scotty explained to me once, I asked him what about the role of Roger was his, did he feel was his strongest moment in the film. He said it was this one. It was where
Ken straightens him out?
Where he starts to flip out, where he's...
it calms him down?
He imagined himself as having been in Vietnam, and now he's come back and gone into the SWAT team because that's the only thing he knows how to do. He's a soldier. And when he starts to feel out of control of the situation, he starts to flip out and act like a cowboy. And he leaves his bag in the truck. He starts to get careless. And, of course, that brings about his downfall.
Which begins right here.
Right here, yeah.
This is, I think it's a package of chipped ham that the guy, and a rubber piece that he bites out and chews on.
By the way, we found that great picture of the bite, of the leg bite, that you must have done an appliance for, but it's never been seen anywhere. So when I finish my book, you'll see it. Oh, that hurts.
Oh, chipped ham.
Yep.
That could have been a better bite. Just didn't know enough back then.
I like the shirt that guy's wearing, though.
Here comes Mike Gornick. Oh, here's the leg bite. Now, see, you didn't even see it.
There it is. See that guy with the beard back there? He's the one that his business card says appeared in Dawn of the Dead.
Pager.
What is this, tempera paint on his clothing?
I know, I didn't do that. But it sure looks like it. You know, we just gave bottles of it to everybody to splash around. I keep looking for Ken's black spot on his head.
Must have been matted out. They CGI'd it out.
Troweling mat.
Yeah. The rotoscope. The pain.
It all depends on how many of them are still inside. That's one hell of a run we gotta make. If we had more flares, maybe some of those
See torches again. Now that's a recurring thing. Torches appear in all three.
What a surprise. Torches, horror movies, Frankenstein,
Right.
Villagers.
Although this time they were butane or propane torches.
Yeah. Jack Daniels.
You sure you're gonna make it?
Just give me another bottle of this stuff. Sure, I'll make it.
Just hurry up with that.
So it's like vampires. If you get bitten, you become one. See? That's the mall.
Jumping out of the mall and into
This is off ladders.
East Liberty, yeah.
We jumped off ladders, or they did.
There's, of course, a nod of the head back to the animal heads at night. Remember, she walks into the house and sees the stuffed head.
Well, now the animal heads are a recurring theme.
Wait, where are the animal heads in Day?
No, I'm talking about Night of the Living Dead. We used them in the beginning of Night of the Living Dead, and I can't say in other George Romero's movies if they're not there. But certainly in my remake, we certainly put them there.
Here's Nick.
That's Nick. He gets a big hole in the head. That's the bottom of a tin can that I pulled off of his head.
That's a great headshot, too.
Yeah, I took a tin can, cut, like a can opener would open up, and took that cut-out section and glued that, not glued it, but put it on his head and pulled that through mortician's wax.
Don't worry, they can't get through.
Now, some people would sit and fantasize about having all these guns. Going in there and just picking out all the guns you want. My fantasy comes later on when you see the big Dremel case.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of fantasies going on in here. First of all, to be in a mall all by yourself and access to everything. Here it comes. Here it comes.
No, it's not now.
Not now?
It is,
okay.
Yeah, he shoots them later on.
And that's one fantasy, to have all these guns would be another one. But to have all these guns and know that there's a bunch of people walking around out there that are just targets now.
There it is.
You know, this appeals. This has got to appeal to a masculine sense of something.
Yeah. That almost brings them to the level of the posse out there shooting, for fun.
Isn't that what laser tag is now? I mean, you go out there and shoot
your buddies.
Yeah, shoot your buddies without harming them.
Paintball.
Ah, yes. The Wild Bunch. The Magnificent Seven.
Let's go. Well, they're armed to the teeth. And most of these stores are completely different now. I mean, the mall itself, like the railings there are still exactly, the skylights are the same.
The benches, the ashtrays.
Benches are the same. The ashtrays are gone because you can't smoke in them.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
But, and the logo on pennies is different. Actually,
Is it?
Yeah. Well, they changed it years ago. But it's kind of a funny gag, actually. One of the
well, who's getting it here? Oh, Bob Michelucci.
Bob Michelucci. He still sells pictures of them.
He owns a store in not that mall, another mall.
Another mall. But one of the Horns, I think it was Horns, has been sold to another company, and the name of the store there now is Lazarus, which is kind of amusing.
Right.
The connotation.
Well, my fiance works at Lazarus.
Yes,
not out there, but downtown.
Uh-huh.
I thought about that the other day. What, Lazarus? They built it from scratch downtown, like it rose up from the earth in downtown Pittsburgh. You know, that's they tore
Did you
something
go into the Horns building?
No, the one downtown, they built from scratch.
Wow.
And there's a funny scene if you just like you turn your TV on and you just see this.
Yeah.
Why is that guy in a wheelchair?
A wheelbarrow.
Wheelbarrow, yeah.
I asked Scotty that also. I said, do you think George intentionally had to put you in the wheelbarrow? Because certainly there are wheelchairs at the mall.
Yeah.
Because they have them.
For handicapped
Yeah.
people.
I said, do you think he left you in the wheelbarrow to show that you are now the valuable commodity they're protecting? And he said, I think that might be going too far.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I read today that I don't know what a movie means until after I see it or after I make it.
Yeah, yeah. Now you think they would go?
But also they throw stuff in the wheelbarrow, so they're killing two birds with one stone.
Sure,
getting him around, yeah, and then having something to carry the goodies and the loot.
Oh, plus you were using the wheelchair because you landed on your feet.
That's right. When I dove off the balcony, I missed and crashed my feet into the floor at high speed, and I couldn't walk for 2 weeks. Still did the effects and made people up, but I was in a golf cart and a wheelchair and a cane at one point. And then I did the stunt again, and that time successfully. Keys, please. Keys with cheese, please.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
Aim a little bit higher.
Aim for the head.
Yeah.
Remember the head now. Don't shoot Flyboy in the head.
Yeah, shot right past.
Oh, he shot his foot off. Did you see that? No, but he was aiming at his foot. Who's this guy? That's the mummy.
Yeah.
Frankenstein and the mummy.
Hard to...
I've seen horror movies before. They walk like this, don't you know?
Now watch, he handed her the keys already, right?
Uh-huh.
There's a pair of keys right there. Who's that?
I don't know.
Is that a mistake?
I don't know.
I don't either. Oh, I've no idea.
I've no idea. Who says that?
I can't tell you who said that. You'll...
No idea. It's somebody we know.
Yeah, it was...
I know who it is.
Don't say
He was in Star Wars. He lives in England. And we love him dearly, believe me.
He's a great guy.
He's wonderful. We do conventions with him all the time. You figure it out. Yes, oh yes. Watch his foot. Oh, lovely.
Oh, man. That was a great one, too.
Yeah. Well, she had this wig on that we could just plant a lot of stuff in, you know. How are the levels?
See, again, here's what I was talking before about the religious attire. There's a nun, a Hare Krishna.
It begins with a one-legged priest.
A one-legged priest,
Hare
right?
Krishna. Where's Buddha? Buddha's the fat guy that's walking around.
That's Yoshi on the other laser disc.
Oh. Now look, see this woman? Look at her face carefully. Look at this woman's face carefully.
Uh-huh.
Now that's Tasso.
That's Tasso.
And I think it goes back to the woman. Back to the woman.
Uh-huh.
Watch her face.
Here's Tasso.
Tasso.
Out.
Now, the reason he held on with one hand is because his other hand was pumping blood into his eyeball.
He had her act as if she had one arm.
Yeah, so... Hey, movie magic.
Now watch, here's the amputee. No, where is he? It's right before all this hand violence. Watch, he burns the guy's hand.
Oh, that's just a gelatin hand.
And there's an amputee I never noticed before.
Move your hand.
Now watch.
An amputee?
Yeah, right.
Where?
Right there. See him? Missing a hand there?
No.
No?
That's a woman, wasn't it?
Maybe she was holding it out right. But then another hand gets cut off there.
Cut off? I didn't see that.
Yeah, slammed off in the door.
What, did they become mushier when they are zombies?
Wasn't there a Time Life book about that?
Isn't that something from Dusk Till Dawn? You think I should mention Dusk Till Dawn? Dawn of the Dead, Dusk Till Dawn, why not?
Dusk Till Dawn of the Dead?
Dusk Till Dawn of the Brunch of the Return of the Living Dead from Outer Space.
Yeah.
No, I played Sex Machine in Dusk Till Dawn, if you've not seen that. It's a vampire movie with George Clooney, Harvey Keitel, Quentin Tarantino, Julia Lewis.
I remember Tasso said that Volkswagen Scirocco that they're driving there had front-wheel drive, and that was the only thing that made him nervous about getting dragged. Was that the stuff was shooting up when they ran over the mannequin that shot the leg back at him?
That's right. And look, we're just driving around the mall. That guy's one of our classmates. Mm-hmm. Come out and we'll hit you with a car. He was like a good guy in the movement class, like an acrobat.
Right.
And Tasso and I were certainly the acrobats of the class. We were always competing. It would always get down to some feat. And it was always down to just me and Tasso. And he would always win. I was 10 years older than the average student. That I'd been to Vietnam, already been, in school. But he would always be the one that would win. The high jump or the most of this or something.
Here comes Nick with the big head.
Okay, here comes Nick. This is the tin can.
Oh, best in the movie.
But it looked like an exit wound, like he got shot from the back or something.
I got an email once. Now watch, this guy sits down here. The guy with the red shirt. He's got a jersey.
That's not Barry?
It might be Barry.
No, Barry, no. That's not Barry.
That's not Barry, no. The Box Arco Pit. Now it's a gas station, right? Uh-huh. Owned by a guy named Bach
because he sponsored this team this guy plays on.
In a town called Pitcairn. People would always email me asking what that means.
Oh.
And somebody knew what it meant, said, where is the gas station? It doesn't exist anymore.
People come in looking for the cemetery of the original Night of the Living. Tourists come in. Burkittsville, where they shot Blairstown, is inundated with license plates from all over the country.
I was just there 2 days ago. It was Ohio, Virginia, New York, cars full of guys driving around. The place is like one intersection.
Yeah, the town is a blink town. You blink, you miss it.
Exactly.
Didn't somebody steal the sign for the town as well?
The sign at the beginning of the movie. Somebody ripped it off months ago.
Well, I hope this is working.
If not, we'll have to watch it again.
Oh, no. But we would not be as brilliant.
We'd be even more brilliant because we remember stuff we said before. It's too bad that clock isn't still there. That's the one thing. The fountain is there at the other end of the other court of the mall.
People would be stealing parts of it.
I know a guy has a chunk of the mall anyway. A chunk of the marble.
Probably the guy that drove into
it. Knocked it loose.
Was that a cat?
What?
No, impossible.
A cat?
I thought I heard a cat screech.
Must have been your stomach.
We can't go to the bathroom because I don't know how to turn this thing off. We can't go to the bathroom and leave this thing.
Can we hit pause at the same time on the VCR?
We'd have to hit pause on the VCR and then pause on this. Yeah. We'll just have to suffer through. I think I'll drink some more water.
We may have to go buy more cigarettes soon. I left my water way over there.
Well, go ahead. We'll miss you for 2 seconds. No, quick, hurry back. Wait, look. You're missing it. Oh, you missed it. The head came right off and fell into the bowl. The eye shot out against the wall. There is one cigarette left. We shall share it.
Refreshment. No, I have one right now. But before Leah leaves, I think you should give her some money for more. 3 days.
Dun, dun, dun.
Peter, where are you? Right here, trooper.
This makeup took maybe an hour. Right from the kid, no appliances. These were the days.
This? He's not wearing any makeup.
No, the makeup that he will...
Yeah.
eventually wear when he turns into the zombie.
I remember being in the effects shop for Day of the Dead and seeing a big 8x10 of his makeup, and I guess you guys were using that for Bub's.
Oh, yeah?
As an inspiration
To
for Bub's
sculpt, yeah,
makeup.
because
Right.
Bub did wear a Plaza.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it probably would have taken the same amount of time, but
That's
this
all.
was using his own flesh and wrinkling his own flesh, whereas the Bub is all appliances. Foam latex glued on top of his real skin.
Sounds like my dentist.
Bob Villa's.
Mall improvement.
This, I don't, that's in the hallway too, isn't it? Where but it's not still there, is it?
No, but there was
a doorway or
the
something?
production built a wall at the end of that hall. If we see them running down the hall, it looks like it dead ends.
Right.
And it doesn't. It continues out to a door to the parking lot. But they built a wall. And then these guys are building another fake wall to block the door back to the hallway.
I see. But what's there now? Is it just an open space like that?
It's just a hall. Leads back to the community room. And then
I see.
Goes eventually out to a parking lot.
I got it. And he wasn't even there.
Who wasn't there?
You weren't there.
At the time, no.
How old were you?
When this was being
1980, 79, 80.
1970. This was being shot in 70.
Oh, wait, that's what's there. There's a door behind that wall. They're just covering the doorway, that's all.
Yeah, they're covering the doorway.
Yeah,
but there was
that's still there.
The doorway's still
yes,
there.
Yes. But I'm sorry, what were you saying? How old were you in
I was 1978. This was being shot. I think I was 7.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So I didn't see the movie till much later, obviously. But I read the book, and it scared the pants off me.
I know, I have friends that say, when were you born? 1964. Oh, that's when I graduated high school.
Always bothered me. What does she put in his lap? Is that a box full of dishes?
It's dishes,
like?
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It's a China set. Now I have friends that's like, when were you born? It's like 1975.
Oh, I have friends that were born after Star Wars came out, which baffles me.
Ken's in good shape.
Yeah. Now, this is the only thing that's left from the original idea of putting the bodies in the freezers to feed the zombies.
You're saying that was part of the original script?
The first treatment that George wrote was about the scientists coming in and storing the flesh there to feed them. And that's the only bit left, is putting the zombies in there to keep them from stinking. There's real money. Now, what Richard Rubenstein, the producer, wrote a check for $20,000 and cashed it at the bank for, I guess, 5s or 10s or whatever. And they shot this, and they shot the guys tossing the money into the air, the raiders, and they shot some zombies walking on the money. And then they gathered it back up and got the check back.
Oh, wait, not to doubt you, but you can't just give them a check and they give you $20,000.
Oh, there was a representative for the bank there. And Richard, actually, in a book later on, said that they did not have that much money in the bank at the time, so they were just kind of...
That's what I'm saying. Then how would they get that?
Trusting everyone to not run off with the money on the floor.
I see. He probably said we're going to use it for 10 minutes or something.
Yeah, and I guess there was a representative from the bank there watching to make sure nobody grabbed up handful of money.
Bing Crosby. Clint Eastwood.
Jimmy Cliff. The harder they come. The skating rink. Now there's a food court there now. They call it, you know.
Just a bunch of pizza and Chinese and Greek and...
Really bad for you. Don't eat there if you can help it.
You shouldn't say that. This is the Monroeville Mall.
Well, there's a salad place. You know, you can get something healthy to eat there. But most of the stuff is pretty fattening.
Yeah, so if you're in England and you're going to come to the Monroeville Mall, the coffee's great. There are some great food places there. The fantasy of having whatever you want. It's all free.
Thank God this didn't really happen and that I was there, because I would weigh 800 pounds. Wow, look at this. Olives and...
Maybe there's a gym there. You know what I would do? I would jog around that mall.
That's right. Jog around the mall.
Just jog around there. Go to the gym. There's got to be a sporting goods store there, you know.
Manja. He's a great laughter.
That sounded like Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah. That fountain is still there.
Mm-hmm.
They cover it up a lot. They put a stage on top.
Now this scene, I think it's either this one or when she's by herself in this beauty.
Right here, watch this. That is an important moment.
Okay, it's a later scene with Galen in the beauty shop.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, the moon box.
George wanted to cut that.
And Galen wrote the letter.
Galen, I saw her sit down at the typewriter in George's office and write him a long letter and hand it to him, and then the scene stayed in.
These old arcade games, too, most of them, like that one there, that's called Outlaw. You can, on the computer now, you can download what they call an emulator. And the computer will act as if it is one of these arcade games, and you can download those original games and play them on your computer.
Well, I have asteroids and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can play all that stuff.
Well, these guys know that.
Yes, please don't think I'm condescending to you. If you guys are
How condescending of you.
internet savvy and know all this stuff already. That game I don't think you can download. I think it's just a plastic car. Meanwhile, the threat remains.
Do we know any of these people? There's Clayton Hill.
Was there Clayton?
Yeah. Okay, the famous line, the poster line.
That's right. Now, these fur coats were loaned to the production by... Now, see, look, they're shooting as if they're at the end of the mall. But the Pennies is actually in the middle of the mall.
Yeah.
They know we're still in here.
They're after the place. I see, if I died and became a zombie, I would go straight to the mall.
Just remember.
Well, that's what they did.
I'm a confirmed mall rat. It's true. Do they have malls in Britain?
Yeah, huge malls. Piccadilly Circus.
No more room.
Oh, wait.
Voodoo.
Voodoo.
Something my granddaddy used to tell us. You know Macumba?
Wasn't that a Clark Gable movie?
Macumba Love?
Yeah.
Granddad was a priest in Trinidad. Used to tell
Here it
us,
is.
when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
Oh, you should remake that with Sam Jackson.
Bravoissimo. Sam Jackson, the new Shaft.
Yeah. Now, it's funny in the German version to hear him say that, mein Großvater was eine Priest in Trinidad. In German, you know.
Well, I wish I still spoke Italian. I could tell you what it was.
Well, you do speak Italian on the Italian version of
Oh, I do?
Zombie.
Well, I didn't know I could do that.
No, you know what? The one I have, Zombie, is in English. It must have been subtitled. But the Italian version of Martin I have, your Italian is flawless.
Yeah. I'd like to hear myself do that.
Actually, the Italian version of Martin is called Vampire.
Vampire. Martini.
Martin. Looks kind of blissful there.
Yes, it's Christ-like, isn't it?
I was thinking that. He's doing the Christ-like thing with his hand. Is he wearing dog tags?
Yes.
He is.
Don't you remember Ken throws them on his grave or something?
Does he? Dog tags? I don't remember that.
I thought so. He
buries him.
pours champagne on it.
Uh-huh.
Here's one for you.
Take care of me, won't you, Peter?
I always liked his makeup here. It's very subtle
You take care of me.
highlights and shadows there to make him look sickly.
Save
Yeah.
your strength.
Little darkness under the eyes.
I don't want to be walking around.
Or above the eyes, actually.
This is another thing Scotty said he was proud of, was this sort of delirium here where he's gradually dying, becoming a zombie.
Peter!
Yeah, I'm here, man.
Look how tiny he looks in the corner there.
Sure, I am coming back.
It's good you never see him this close to Ken, so the contrast is
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna try.
like he has shrunk even more.
Holding a dwarf, yeah.
A little person. They prefer to be called little person. Little people. Lots of my friends are little people. Warwick Davis, who we just met at a convention.
Kenny Baker.
Kenny Baker.
Here's Richard France again. Howard Smith.
Howard Smith, who's he?
The Gizmo guy.
Oh, he's the guy that directed Gizmo.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Actually, his name is Howard K. Smith. And I had to straighten out the Internet Movie Database, which had Dawn of the Dead as containing the Howard K. Smith, the reporter.
Yeah?
You know, the other Howard K. Smith, the famous guy.
Oh.
I had to straighten them out. But,
Well, you know, we went in there last night, and look what I saw. I've been in movies, I've directed movies that I don't even know what they are. If you look at the
that's right, on the record.
database.
Tom Savini did not know of the IMDb's existence.
Yes,
until last
I'm
night.
so ignorant. I'm learning, though.
Not anymore.
20 times. Food supply
You know, we should have paused it when they went back to the freezer. We could have gone to the bathroom.
Could have gone to the freezer.
Yes.
Well, there'll be another reel change, I'm sure.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it is about halfway through.
Yeah. Well, be aware of that. If there's another reel change, we're going to pause it and relieve ourselves. Actually, I could have Denise bring up a bucket.
Get the bucket.
Since we haven't touched upon our nuclear resources, why don't we drop
Boing. What a reaction.
your problem is serious, deadly serious. What are the choices? They won't run out of
Now, see, they're already bringing stuff. They have a color TV now.
and they won't run out of food.
She's unpacking dishes over there.
That's right. Was it black and white before?
Uh-huh.
Roger. Poor Roger. What we did here was stretch various sections of his face. In the stretched position, just stipple on liquid latex. Colored liquid latex. And you let go of the skin. After you powder it, you let go of the skin and it just bunches up into wrinkles like this.
That wasn't the same gray pancake, was it?
I don't think that. This must have been grease paint because you got to cover rubber with rubber mask grease paint.
Uh-huh.
Now everybody imagines in their head the scene
Uh-huh.
of Scott getting hit with a bullet, and it's probably far better than what we probably would have created.
It's a really good scene, too. It really still holds together where he's ranting on the TV and finally you hear the shot.
Oh yeah, it's a build-up.
Yeah.
See?
Oh, you're right. You know what? I never, till now,
Really?
noticed those dog tags.
But you've seen it 100
I've
times.
seen it 1,000 times. I've never noticed those dog tags on his grave.
And I have seen it much less. And, well, it's just one of those
That's
things.
probably not
Well,
an
dog
exaggeration.
tags are a thing important to me.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we took mannequins out there and really shot them.
That wasn't in the skating rink, was it?
This was in the skating rink.
Really
we
shot them.
we put up something back there and we just shot
I
bullets
was
at
going to
these
say you didn't put
mannequins.
holes in the wall behind the mannequins.
No. They set up some kind of a safety thing. I have no idea where this is.
This is El Pomodoro.
Is it? Is
Yep.
that still there? No.
No, it's not there anymore. But
Italian restaurant.
Ira has an ashtray from that restaurant.
I remember Augenstein, the lighting guy, built this huge box above them with tracing paper everywhere, and that's what he lit it through.
Not to give
Notice the jump in the kind of lighting. We went from the fluorescent look of Inside the Mall to this
on Document of the Dead, he says it was a nightmare trying to light because you
so big.
yeah, you do an over-the-shoulder shot for Peter, and he's looking down 500 feet a mall, and he had to light that. So they worked out a method by which they would replace the bulbs in the mall's lights with movie bulbs.
Oh my God! All those lights.
Uh-huh.
Why don't they just have the scene of them turning the lights off in the mall?
That Radio Shack behind him, that's still there.
Yeah, and we really buried Roger there.
He's still there too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's there. He was really in the part, you know.
Nobody's found him yet. Yeah.
No, he said he'll come out.
He's not here tonight. What a poignant moment this is.
There's no violin music.
There's dinner music in the background.
I wonder if that's the music.
That's, yeah, it probably is music.
No, it couldn't be. You couldn't cut back and forth.
That's right, there's no music playing in the mall. But it's got to be music playing in the restaurant. It's not soundtrack music. And Goblin did
A score for this scene?
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Is it light and jumpy and bumpy, or?
It's like a love scene with saxophone.
Oh,
You know,
well, yeah.
they did a great bit of music that's not in here. But for the scene where they're shopping, they're browsing around the mall, and it sounds like music from an old like a '70s porn movie.
On Goblin.
It's like you have to hear. But that was a long sought after track, I guess. Now here's what the hell does he type on there? Drive me nuts. No idea.
What did Jack Nicholson type in?
What is
All work and no play. He just typed that over and over again.
Makes Steve a dull zombie. Everyone's going for the hats, right?
What an old-fashioned typewriter that was, too.
Yeah. Smith Corona. they're growing bored. Their existence has become but a sham.
All right.
Yeah. If I had a cigarette, I wouldn't be saying that kind of stuff.
Oh, well, by all means, we must get you something.
Now, originally in the script, she finds a puppy in a pet shop, and they adopt it. And it's they must have not bothered doing the dog at all. But there are a few little things that are still there. The first rough cut of Dawn came in at 170 minutes.
Huh.
It's like, what, 2 hours, 40 minutes? Is it? 2 hours, 50 minutes.
I really have no idea.
I think you can see her breast. For years, you could not see that because...
Why?
It was just dark when they remastered it.
Well, you know what's funny, when you look in magazines like Fango or something, and they will put a black strip across nipples on breast, but show brains hanging out of deboweled bodies. And even on some of my effects, they were rubber bodies, rubber female bodies. They put the black marks on the naked nipples.
To protect the innocent dummy.
Yes, people who read Fango wouldn't understand that, would they? Reading it for the violence and the blood and the gore.
They have Fangoria in Britain, but they have Shivers.
Well, they do. There's a correspondent there, as a matter.
Is there?
Yeah, I think.
That's right. There is Philip Nutman? Is he?
Oh, I'm thinking of Japan. I know there's a Japanese correspondent there.
Norman, my friend Norman England is a Japanese.
In Japan. Okay.
He writes for Fango Japan.
I love this apartment.
Yeah, he's got a great Dawn of the Dead website too, actually. Zombie Farm.
Don't you have a Living Dead website?
LivingDead.com. And also, I'm working on GeorgeRomero.com.
Isn't this where the skeleton is?
Yeah, tell the skeleton story.
Yes,
here it comes here. But first, let me mention how this must have been an accident. How the hell did they get this ball to roll off the roof like that? That must have been accidental. And George said, "Hey, let's do this."
No, because it doesn't go off. The ball just rolls around on the ledge, and then you cut to a longer shot of it rolling. Right, we just threw it over the edge, that's all.
Anyway, the skeleton, the ball just bounced near, was a real...
Oh, I missed it. Did they show it?
They showed it. Yeah, it was a quick cut. But tell us.
No, I'll tell it. I just wanted to have a cadaver, a skeletal cadaver for the movie, so I went to a costume store and there's Michael Cook. I borrowed a medical skeleton, with springs in the jaws, wires in the fingers, an obvious medical skeleton, the top of the head removed and screws, but I decorated it with lots of things, Rice Krispies and latex, hair, flesh. I have to interrupt myself. This is the scene I was talking about, that she wrote George a letter to insist that it stays in, or convince him that it should stay in, and I agree. It's a great scene.
For some reason, right?
Yeah, great scene. But, so I decorated the skeleton, and it's the one you saw, and I gave it back to the costume store in the condition after I made it all up, and they loved it, and they used it as a display in their window in a coffin for Halloween. Policeman went to the costume store to rent a costume. He thought it looked very real, and pretty soon the county coroner shows up and closed the store down, telling her that as far as he's concerned, this is a dead body in the city of Pittsburgh, and she must bury it or cremate it or whatever. But it is buried in a cemetery in Mount Lebanon and has a name on the grave. And
what is the name on the grave?
I wish I could remember that, but Marilyn Wick would know it. The costume store has come back to Pittsburgh. It's Costume World down in the Strip District here. And for promotion, I suggested to her for Halloween that she exhume
the Dawn of the Dead body.
It's a prop buried in a cemetery. Exhume the cadaver and put it on display in the costume store. The news would pick up on that.
Definitely.
But she wouldn't do it.
But
I still have the coffin that it appeared in the window of the costume store.
I have a bunch of coffins down there.
Yeah, I got 4 or 5, but this one she gave me, actually. She hung on to it.
Now, we missed it a while back with the voice there, the attention all shoppers. That was Chris Romero.
Yes, and the turntable, which in those days was just high-tech, state-of-the-art, that's my turntable.
Is it yours?
Yeah, after the movie, yeah.
That was from the Listening Post, I think, rented that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got it from the movie. I mean, the one I bought.
You bought that same model.
Was that model, yeah. That thing. It's time for some action, for some excitement here. I think they should be invaded by a horde of motorcyclists.
Well, they're eating fondue. That's kind of exciting.
Oh, all right. Is it chocolate fondue?
I doubt it. Looks like Swedish meatballs.
Hey, look, there's a microwave back then.
Wow. Imagine the world coming to an end. Oh, there it is. I was
What?
going to say, imagine
What?
the world coming to an end before VCRs, but there's one under the TV right there.
A Betamax.
Yep, big old VCR.
Yeah.
But I bet they didn't have much to watch.
There were only a couple of movies on Beta. Fantastic Voyage, and I got a bootleg of Star Wars back then. I watched it endlessly.
Uh-oh.
Part of my deal for buying this television from the guy. This television is 20 years old.
Wow. But I think my favorite video story was the Friday the 13th experience.
Which was?
Where you and Tasso were at the camp. Staying at the camp.
We stayed, instead of staying at the hotel with the cast and crew, we stayed at the camp where Friday the 13th Part 1 was filmed. In a cottage, we had all the conveniences, but we were in the middle of the woods, and we had a lake and canoes, and I had my motorcycle. It was so much fun.
And Tom had his VCR, which was
my Betamax.
Betamax, and the only two movies I had to watch for, 2 months?
2.5 months.
Were Marathon Man
and Barbarella, and I, to this day, can recite the entire movie for you, either one of them, and each night we'd take a different turn. Marathon Man, Barbarella.
Uh-oh.
Some nights we'd watch Barbarella maybe 2 times in a row. Rudy Ritchie, there's me.
There's you. Hey.
This is all, some of it's improvised. That switchblade certainly is improvised.
And there's little extra...
I still look like this today.
You do.
My earring, a little clip-on earring here.
Your nose,
Rudy Ritchie, isn't he one of the producers? There it is.
Rudy, your nose has lost some weight, I think, since then.
Yeah. Oh, my nose has, yes, obviously. I lost weight on my nose before Night Riders.
What were we talking about before?
So many things.
Oh, Marathon Man and Barbara.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Is it safe?
That's us in the truck somewhere screaming.
That's got to be you.
It was me.
Screaming about the whirly bird.
Sure. I mean, all our lines are improvised, just completely improvised. Especially the one I say later on to Ken when he goes up the ladder.
Oh, yes.
He came to me about
he
that
sassed
line.
you about that one, too.
What did you say? Well, I'm a biker. I'm in character. I don't mean it. Well, you'll see. I know it's not that bad. Bomba's in the truck there. Bomba.
Nicky Tallow.
You should all know these nicknames by now.
That's right. If you don't, we're going to...
Rudy Ritchie.
Get to rewind it.
That guy on the left is the real leader of the Pagans. That good-looking guy with the bandolera.
Oh, yeah. So somebody was mentioning.
That Pagans is a real motorcycle gang that, goes about, messes about. That sword, that's why I'm called Blades, because I carry that sword, which was stolen during this movie.
That sword was by one of the Pagans, probably.
No, and mysteriously it was stolen when I wasn't doing any more, when it was over, That sledgehammer was rubber. I built that sledgehammer for Sledge because he has to whack people with it endlessly, you'll see.
Tom recently sold a hammer to a guy named Dennis.
$500.
From whom I will repurchase it.
Not on eBay, that was Bomba.
That's Butchie, that big hairy guy.
He's a pagan, but he's also a fine artist.
Is he really?
Yeah, painting. He's a lovely painting. These are all real gang members. This guy is the leader.
Now, I asked, when I was working at a bar in the South Side doing the door, working the door at the bar, I asked, a couple pagans came in, and I said, do you guys know Butchie? Is he still around? I didn't know who I was talking about.
Yeah.
He might be dead or something.
Well, this is...
20 years ago.
Yeah. This was so exciting when I first saw this movie, to know what was about to happen to these people.
That's what George...
They had it made, they were going to survive.
And then it goes to hell. Well, George and Chris said when they come roaring into the mall, you might have been asleep under an escalator or something like that.
Yeah, I might have been.
They said it was the loudest thing they ever heard.
Oh, yeah.
These 25 Harleys come in.
The reverberation was incredible. It was an echo chamber. But I could have been asleep. I carried a sleeping bag with me all the time, and I'd be asleep under an escalator, near a fountain, whatever I could grab, some winks, and they'd just wake me up when it was time to do an effect, do a stunt, or play the character.
Firecrackers here. What? I wonder whose idea that was. I guess it's significant that he strips off all of his fancy rings and stuff and puts the SWAT gear back on.
Why? What does that mean?
It means he doesn't want to get them dirty.
Oh. Bloody? Bomba.
There he is.
Now, that explosion.
That blew a window out.
Yeah. Well, that was Butch up there on the stand, but that window, you didn't really see it that well, but it was how they got into the mall by blowing the window out. The producer's wife, Catherine, who you saw earlier, was sitting inside the mall, inside with us, in front of the window to shoot the stills. Catherine shot the stills for this movie. When the window broke, it was a major explosion, much bigger than we were told and expected and thought, and then the glass just shattered the real window in the mall there. And there's Tasso with the sledgehammer. Hey. All the glass from that window landed around Catherine, all around her in a circle.
And wasn't she wearing like a chaim?
She was wearing a charm, a Jewish charm bracelet, and that's what she said at the time. She said she attributed it to that. There's Tasso.
I still have that jacket.
Chris's brother, Barry Gress again.
Barry got nailed again.
Bamba is me and Bamba.
Now see, watch.
What are we watching?
It's still taped up, see?
I said that.
You just said it.
Oh, so the wires are still taped up because didn't they do that?
Joe Shellaby, and who's she? She's really
She's
cute.
the costume. She's a costume person. Yeah. I don't remember her name. I think it's Barbara. I think I punched this guy in the shoulder to make it look like a hard punch to his jaw. Boom. Yeah. You saw impact there. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Tasso's just beating the shit out of people. That little guy with a sombrero you saw is Tony Buba. He's a documentary filmmaker in Pittsburgh, and his brother Pat, that's him, Tony Buba. I'm mistaken for this guy. People stop me and think that...
it's Pasquale.
No, at the end, but they think that I'm the guy in the blood pressure machine. Yeah, because he puts his arm in the blood pressure machine and it gets torn off.
Oh, now you got spoiled it for people who haven't seen it.
Well, if you haven't seen this movie, then why are you watching it, listening to this? You know? But his brother Pat Buba is the editor. And edits for George Romero all the time.
Oh, he's done a lot of stuff.
Looking for Richard with Pacino.
Casino.
Yeah. For Scorsese. And it's me by the door and Bamba and Pat Buba with the sword. Here we go. Marty Schiff, Tasso. We just invented these parts.
Oh, yeah?
This movie for us was a 2-month Halloween. Every night at 7 o'clock, it was Halloween. On the chat room the other night, people were saying that Halloween isn't a big holiday in England. They don't celebrate it like we do.
I think it was originally a much more serious holiday over there.
Oh, is it?
Putting people in wicker men and setting them aflame.
Oh. Well, we don't do that.
Not anymore.
No.
Not in Pennsylvania, anyway.
This was an exciting noise, though, even though it was unbearable.
Oh, I can't. It must have been phenomenal to see those guys running around. That's right.
Submachine gun.
Shop fairly.
Yeah. All for one and one for all, is that it?
You shriveled wine sack.
Why would shooting the plate on the door make it go?
Just
look, the glass didn't break from the shotgun blast.
I said it was pretty indestructible.
Okay.
Now I love the shots of what they're stealing because they're just grabbing anything.
Crap, yeah. Just that to me that says something.
Was that just you sitting on the roof of the truck?
Yeah. Okay, that's the producer's girlfriend, Ben Barinholtz, who I just think, that's Ben right there.
Here comes another mistake. Watch, he knocks the teepee over and the dead zombie on the floor flinches. Watch. Oops.
Yeah. Oh, there, I didn't notice that. Oh, let's just take her
and
joy.
Here comes Catherine Colbert again.
Catherine, where?
Right. Wait, there's Randy Kovitz again.
Yes, Randy Kovitz.
She smacks a pie into somebody's face.
Oh, the pie, that's right. That's Roy Frumkes, the guy who made Document of the Dead.
There she is, right there.
That's Catherine Colbert, the producer's wife, Barbara, Tony, Pat Buba.
Now, George dressed up as a Santa Claus biker at one point.
A zombie?
Cut it.
No, biker, you're right.
Dressed
as psycho,
but you can still see one frame of him, A guy named Jamie Summers pointed that out to me. Where is?
Show it to me, Georgia Santa Claus.
It's right after this. He runs behind Bamba for a second, or Marty. Right back there.
That was George.
See him back there?
George Romero. I remember seeing him in the Santa Claus eye. Somebody woke me up under the escalator, and George was in the Santa Claus outfit with Chris.
So what the hell are you doing? Well, it's in the book. In the book, they mentioned the Old Nick, they call him, the Santa Claus biker. And Chris was an elf, wasn't she? Chris was dressed as an elf. That'd be fun. Shooting arrows at the zombies.
We did that in Night of the Living Dead.
Here's another money scene. See, they must have shot this
the same day.
Same day,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. They're mine. It's ours.
That's my bank.
It's my account. Okay, I think I get shot 27 times here. Wait, let's see. Wait.
Now, who's that guy next to Randy? Who's the other guy?
I don't know.
He's an actor because he was in something else of George's, I'm sure.
I don't know. Okay, this is... They think it's me.
Uh-huh.
That's not me.
Yeah, mustache, dark hair. It's got to be you. He's protecting his investment.
I think that was a slingshot with some tar pellet that I fired at him, or fired at the wall.
A spark hit. I can't imagine.
We did have spark hits back then.
Yeah,
I think we did fire the spark hits at the wall.
There's a big machine gun blast coming up that has a lot of sparks. It must have been. That's great, the jungle scene there.
Uh-huh. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh.
That's me.
Uh-huh.
Kaboom. With my padding hanging out of the shirt there.
Oh, poor Lenny.
Okay. I think I'll split your brain in half.
Lenny Lee's famous
Say
machete
goodnight.
zombie.
Wah.
Ouch. I worked with Lenny a couple years back, and
Lovely.
he had no idea that he was on posters in France.
You're kidding.
I said, there's like a billboard with you on it.
He's on my logo.
He said, really? Actually, I gave him your business card. He said, oh, that is me. Look. Something happens here, notable.
Oh, I cut a head off here.
Right.
Here it comes. Whoosh. I forget her name. The girl from the crew who played her before.
There's,
the cutout. There's a
Amblers?
cutout hole in the machete. Cleek. George said, "Go in there and just kick some ass."
Yeah, see the spark?
Yeah, kick some zombies' ass here in this scene. Okay, let's go, Tasso. And you know, Tasso is a fight director, and so am I.
I remember you guys on Night Riders. Tasso split your head open again with a sword, and George got pissed.
For our big broadsword fighting scene.
Yep, there's a good one.
Tasso
Watch
gets
this one right here.
blue.
On the window.
Oh, the fat guy got it in the head.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Somebody tossed a towel in after him.
Okay, wait. This is me, I think, coming up.
Oh,
No?
here's when you're coming through the glass.
Yeah.
Watch how thick the glass is.
Oh, the glass is supposed to be break. Not. This is not me. Here it comes.
No. Right?
That.
Look
Okay.
how thick that... It's
The
like
glass hurt. The glass hurt. They poured the glass on the mallroom floor, a big sheet of glass, put it up into a facade of a storefront, and I completely padded myself up except for my knees and drove a motorcycle through it. I almost bounced off it. It's a good thing I had a bike under me because it felt like a brick wall. And George keeps a piece of the glass to this day in his office, and when you walk in, he'll pick it up and smash it on the desk.
breaks the desk. And
said, this is the breakaway glass, you know.
Now, this guy here, I remember it was supposed to be a big deal. They were going to break a TV. And when I was a kid watching this, I always assumed that he was borrowing that sledgehammer from Tasso.
Ah.
And in Dario's version, there is a line. He says, "Hey, sledge."
Ah.
Tosses him the hammer.
Well, see, Dario was in concern with continuity there.
That's right.
Okay, a squib just broke a breakaway bottle out of my hand.
Was it a squib? Looks like you just dropped it.
No, it was, it could have been somebody fired at it too with a slingshot. I'm not hearing you really well on this. Maybe I should.
Can you hear me better now?
Ah, that's where you should be.
You're sitting very close to it.
Yeah, that's where you should be. I know, I didn't hear you like that for most of this.
Okay, let's start over.
Okay, let's rewind. No. Jittery, 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 jump, jittery, jump.
Yeah, that's very good.
This is all improvised
tension
stuff
there.
here.
Too much coffee? Is that what happened?
No, I wanted to kill him.
There's Marty.
He was shooting at us. There's Tasso.
Uh-huh.
George said, just run up and, say something to him.
And
I saw he just closed it, so... Ken said, wait, what? What'd you say? Chocolate man? What?
I couldn't understand it for a long time. I couldn't understand what you were saying. And I had to ask somebody. I just got an email from somebody who said, what does manja mean?
It's Italian for eat up.
Well, I know that now.
Yeah.
I had to explain to him.
They make it too important sometimes, don't they?
And I got a great email from a guy that said, "What? Peter says something that sounds like Udus Begbie." And I said, what the hell is he talking about? He says, looters maybe, when he's building the wall.
Okay, we were going to escape by swinging on the ropes.
Swinging off the rope.
Tasso does, but okay, fake hand, stab him.
That hurt. What a rotten time to blow a fuse. Yep, man, what a rotten time to lose.
Well, this is again in George's office building. Now, when they fire at him, it's actually me in George's office firing a slingshot at Ken.
At David.
David MG.
And that was, what, a condom under his shirt?
Yeah, I was up in the elevator shaft, and I ripped a condom apart that was already tied around his arm and filled with blood. I just ripped the tape off
There's
it.
Tasso. Hey!
Now, look, he smacks her.
Right.
Boom. Now, when you cut back to me, that's her I grab on the right. On the right, it's her again. Retractable knife. Okay, here she comes again in a different costume.
There she is.
Yeah, Patty Cole. I dated her for a long time.
Did you?
Yeah. Boom, okay. Whoosh. Oh. I just stood on the side of the fountain and did a front flip in after falling off the balcony into cardboard boxes and mattresses.
I remember Tasso said that the rope swing that he screwed up and didn't realize how it was going to work, but the first swing at the end of the take, he bounced off the ceiling.
That's right. He went all the way up underneath and hit the ceiling and came down. Yeah.
But he gets his come up.
But he swung with. There's Tasso again. But he swung with one hand, held on the rope with one hand, and hit that guy. Went all the way up with one hand.
Wow. That's my bro.
Oh, okay, this is me. When he gets shot, it's me.
This guy falls off. That's you doing the flip off the bike,
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
But he's a lousy shot because after he gets shot here...
When he goes off the bike, it's me.
Yeah. Beep, that's you. That was a good gag.
And there's him again.
Now watch, he's 50 zombies coming up behind him, and he aims for the cameraman. What's going on there?
He heads for the what?
He aims for, watch.
No, they must be all around him, though. It's the fourth wall, in theater, it's the fourth wall. Of course, no zombies. Yes, they should, yeah. Okay, this is not me. That's not me.
That's Pasquale, that's his brother.
Yep.
That's Tasso.
Tasso, who was now wearing a fake chest filled with pig guts.
Particularly awful time to have your blood pressure checked, by the way.
Why would he do that?
Well,
he was obsessed with it.
He's worrying that he's smoking too much.
He's in a set at the Leighton office building, and he's at the mall.
In the elevator at the mall. Now, there's typically a switch in elevators that you flip and shuts the power to the elevator off, right? So the doors can't open and stuff. I would assume.
I don't know.
Well, I only know because I flipped it and gotten in trouble a couple of times.
Up.
Oh, there's...
The dubious chest. No blood.
What happened?
No blood in that one. It was Marty. I don't know why. The blood didn't work on that one.
I guess he bit too hard, got the tube in his mouth.
Who knows?
Here comes Tasso's hideous demise.
People love this. Look, intestines, pig intestines. They showed it. Great.
And they showed that, and they cut the head blowing off.
Yeah, well, what can you say? How would they be so powerful, though, to actually tear the flesh, Do they have, like, monster nails or something?
I guess so.
Same thing happened in Day, where they tore the guy in half. All they had was hands. But it's a movie. Okay, this is the elevator shaft at George's building.
That's so
when I told George I was going to fire a slingshot at David, he said, what? So he pointed to a hole in the elevator shaft. He said, all right, well, hit this. And I hit it right on. He said, okay. Go ahead, Go ahead, do it, You can be very accurate. Anybody can be very accurate with a slingshot.
It's kind of cozy up there in the shaft, actually.
I wouldn't want to be there.
Looks really clean for an old air duct.
There should be rats. Rats. This guy had this lip appliance on him. He couldn't eat all day.
Covered his mouth.
Completely covered his mouth.
I just did that to a guy with the plastic teeth appliance over his mouth.
This is a good hit right here.
Right there, that was a good
one. That looked like a jump cut.
There was a frame missing from
that's a good effect. Yeah.
Oh, that hurts.
Now, it's at this point where we lost our special effects guy, and then I had to do the head hits from this point.
Should we explain? Well, it was in a squib.
No, I don't want to explain anything except that this guy right here, the guy with that mouth implants on, is the first squib that I did in the
well, there's a great
film
story in a Rolling Stone article
Does
about
it say
that.
that?
Yeah, Gary himself, Gary Zeller, the explosive expert, says he was in the Holiday Inn cleaning one of the Tommy guns that one of the bikers uses, and he was sitting naked. He just got out of the shower, sitting naked on the bed with a Tommy gun. And some businessman came in. They given him the key to the wrong room. Came in with his briefcase in his hand, and he aimed the gun at him and said, "Get out of here. You didn't see nothing," you know?
guy knows what he told people about it.
Yeah.
Maybe he's all right.
We'll just wait here.
I'm hearing you much better when you get up here. We were fading.
So you think for the rest of the DVD I'm going to sound like I'm way over here?
I don't know. But you weren't that far away. Well, we'll listen to it. We'll see. This is stuff I saw in like an extra long version of Dawn once.
This is the extra long version.
It is, okay. So this is what they put back in. It's just a lot of eating stuff.
That's right, yeah. Eating stuff. And
we use that arm over and over again.
It's almost light. Let's go.
Now, of course, the original ending that we were talking about earlier was Peter is disillusioned with what's happened at the mall, decides to stay behind and shoot himself, and she jumps into the helicopter blade. And I guess George said it was the exploding head didn't look that great or something. I guess Gary.
Don't say any of this stuff on the tape. don't include those sentences on this DVD.
George loved it, but he said he liked them way too much. And
no, he didn't remember shooting it, actually.
Should we rewind it?
No. I just don't want to blame anybody for...
Well, no, it was in a magazine. I've done my research.
Oh, you're quoting a magazine.
Quoting a
magazine.
magazine.
With it then, yeah.
Yeah, see?
But we did shoot the alternate ending. I remember it vividly, freezing on the roof with 2 feet of snow.
Shot her, but not all of it.
No, we shot her body falling away from the helicopter.
But Ken shooting himself was not shot.
No, we never even shot that, yeah. He actually makes a gesture toward doing it. You think they did this the same day of the money stuff?
They must have. They must have.
Of course, there wasn't a lot of money. Maybe they just used pocket change.
That could be. David was telling me some neat stuff about being a zombie there. That he said he was trying to because the nature of his injuries, he was trying to think of what, he's been bitten on the neck and on the thigh, so he's like had tendons torn or something there, so
that's why he's dragging the leg.
Limp in there, yeah, he's dragging the leg, and his only memory was that there was food in that area. He remembered to go there. So
in this food like to bite
as a zombie,
people,
he remembered that they were there, yeah. So he said his instinct was to bite the wall. It was a nice touch.
Yeah, because he's like just a dog now,
yeah,
a hungry zombie dog.
Like sharks with legs.
I must have made him up twice then, because if these are the stairs at the office building, going up to that room. Mm-hmm. But in the mall, certainly, I had to make him up with that wood there.
Times. Yeah. 3 times. Because the stairs are in the latent image building.
Yeah.
This was the set.
Yeah,
this was the latent image building.
Yeah, this is the latent image building.
Okay.
Now, I had a huge bag of blood on the back of his head.
Oh, this is like a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, this is like after I started doing the squibs on the thing. You can see the thing on his forehead that I pull off.
Boom!
Lovely. There should be brain matter up there or something.
That's still, what a spectacular death he had.
Oh, yeah, he died well. Too bad, like they have so many shots from this movie that they sell at conventions. The guy in the airport with the blood coming out of his back, the head blowing off is especially, that's everywhere, that photo. But there's no picture of the blood bursting out of his head in this one.
Yeah. I did see a picture of it somewhere, but it might have been a framed capture.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It should be a frame, if it could be digitally done. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And as rapidly as dusk becomes night in Night of the Living Dead, now night becomes dawn instantly here. Which they just ran out on the roof and it's dark.
Dawn of the Dead.
Hey, that's a good title.
Yeah.
You should make a movie like that.
There's Patty Cole again. We killed her in the mall. We killed her twice in the mall. Yeah, these are friends that you invited. Well, come down to the Latent Image building and be a zombie again. Just bring a different clothes.
All the zombies come in, mess up the house.
If it was Japan, would they have taken their shoes off?
They would have to.
Yeah.
Take their feet off or something.
Clayton Hill? Mm-hmm. This was
Clayton
Hill.
Is it Clayton Hill?
Yeah. And that was Jim Forrest back there, the lighting guy today on all the crews in Pittsburgh in the field jacket. See, okay, let's go. No, we did not shoot his brains flying. There's Michael Cook.
He's a priest now, isn't he?
He's a priest, and he's doing this thing that we ask zombies not to do, and that's drag a leg. We had zombie classes, yeah. Don't look at the camera and don't drag your leg like a mummy. He's dragging both legs. That looks good, though. That's Jim Forrester.
Double drag? Here comes Dawn.
It's freezing on that roof, I gotta tell you. It's on top of the mall.
That was a nice one.
That was good. Nice and juicy.
Nice little hole.
Okay. Face, stomach.
Out.
No.
Oh, out.
Here. No hitting the woman. Oh.
Out.
Clonk. Boom. Face, stomach. Okay.
I always like the
O.J.
O.J. Simpson music they play here. The football.
It's the Jim Brown Dirty Dozen.
Jim Brown music, yeah.
Dirty Dozen. Okay, there's a guy, looks like he just came from the accounting office over there.
What? What's that? Hey. Oh, out.
Boom, kick.
Ouch.
Oh, he protected his groin. You see that? He protected his groin.
I don't blame him.
But Jay should have been like in Day of the Dead.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see it continue. Well, that was Florida.
He's Bub.
He is his predecessor to Bub.
Yeah. And look, it's almost over. It went by so fast.
It did. But now we can buy cigarettes.
And go to the bathroom.
Huh.
Dun, dun, dun.
How much fuel do we have?
Yeah, the original ending, as scripted, he killed himself, she killed herself, and then the credits roll over the chopper on the roof just running.
Right.
And after the credits end, the chopper runs out of gas and putters to a stop. So they never would have made it anyway. So,
but George went. I remember the big deal about going for an upending.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's good that he did.
We actually built a wooden framework over the helicopter, suspended her body, her headless body, in the doorway with fishing line. 3 people held fishing line and scissors, and on the cue they were all supposed to cut the string and the body would fall. Well, it didn't really fall that well. I mean, it fell, but it delayed. Now, look, I'm not Pasquale Buba. See the credit?
Yeah.
It's across from mine. People think I played Pasquale Buba in the movie.
Well, that's because they see Butchie and think that's a character's name, so
Yeah,
they assume that, Pasquale must be his name, too.
So anyway, we all cut the string and the body fell, but one of the strings was cut a little late, so it kind of fell, then fell, so. But the upending is where it should be. Zilla Clinton, Pat Buba's wife. How many names do you remember, John? Tom Dubinsky is an editor today. Ellen Hopkins is working as an art director.
The Goblins. Now, I wonder if they were upset about that, the Goblins instead of...
Diane Donadio, that was the girl whose head I cut off.
Look, they
And Michelle
spelled our last name right.
Stavrakis, yeah, Tom Savini, Stuntman,
So
yeah.
in case you're curious, the one with the O, Stavrakos, that's the wrong one.
Okay.
Stavrakos.
Nancy Allen was there. I remember that now. Yeah, she helped me from Santa Fe.
Bartholomew, the helicopter pilot, he was killed a couple years ago.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Dario, script consultant, Dario, okay. Wicks Furniture, a local store. Brooks Van Horn, local, was a costume store. Who are we thanking here? Nobody I know. Frank Rubenstein. Who's Irvin Shapiro?
Irvin Shapiro was the guy that produced Evil Dead.
You're kidding.
One of the, he was one of Barinholtz's buddies.
Oh, and there you have it. George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead.
1 o'clock. And everyone's dead.
Well, we're gonna turn this off now and see if everything we've said is on this tape.
And if not, we'll have to watch it again.
I hope not. But you'll never know that because you haven't heard this one. So thanks and good night.